Bitch, I'm tired.
Me too.
How you feeling?
I don't know. I'm in a weird space. I'm tired.
Okay.
Just like you, because you said you were tired.
Yeah.
But, no, because it was Kennesaw's homecoming. So I was out there doing hood rat things with my hood rat friends.
Hood rat things like what?
Drinking.
Drinking makes you a hood rat?
Twerking in the street.
Okay, that's hood rat things. Yeah.
Watching people twerk on each other. Aren't those hood rat things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right hood rat.
But Kennesaw homecoming was good. My chapter stresses me the fuck out.
Okay.
You already know this.
Yes.
But everything came together. I be having to just not even yell at people, but just give people looks. Like, my looks are like very like
telling.
like they be like, so sorry, Sean, sorry. But no, we're gonna have to work on some things because this year was probably the most stressful with things that's being planned such last minute.
Yeah.
But it can't be just me helping organize the processes moving forward. We're just gonna have to get better support from our alumni.
Yeah.
And just figuring out what's the best way to get money donated and all that other stuff. I really want us to start like an alumni association where like funds aren't intertwined with like after chapter stuff.
Okay.
And I mean, because honestly, homecoming is for alumni. Like, to be real, it's not for the people there. So like,
hell no, it's homecoming. You come home.
you coming home.
Yeah.
So I feel like the focus just needs to be on alumni and alumni preparing an experience for themselves, opposed to chapter putting on something for the alumni. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not gonna put on too much.
Right.
I'm not gonna put on too much.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your weekend.
Yeah, it was straight. Almost.
I know.
The end of the tailgate, I almost got into a fight with somebody because they hit somebody's car. Like, big ass truck rammed into the car and like dented the car, and like me being drunk, because at this point I had blue juice, rum punch, all kind of shit in my system. I probably instigated the situation just a little bit, because you know how I am when it comes to people doing shit wrong. But like he looked like he was about to drive off, so like, and literally I saw like the car like push into the car, so I knew there was like some kind of damage or some shit. But I was like, hey bro, just stop. And then like he moved his car and I was like, stop the fucking truck. And like literally from that point, like it just escalated. I don't even remember bits and pieces of the conversation, but all I remember was like him calling me a bitch nigga, and like that just...
Did you know this man?
No, I didn't know this motherfucker.
Okay. Was
like,
he frat?
Huh?
Was he frat?
No.
He was just a KSU student?
I don't know who the fuck he was.
Okay, so...
I didn't care either, because he hit somebody's car, and he was about to roll off. Know? Yes.
Okay.
So I was like... It wasn't my brightest moment. The conversation ended because he was like, "We can do something. We can go across the street, bro." I was like, "If you gonna do something, do it right here, nigga." Like I was like, "If you gonna shoot, nigga, shoot." But that was the drunk.
Not if you gonna shoot, nigga, shoot.
Yeah, that was not my brightest.
That is hood rat thing. You fucking hood rat. From the suburbs.
But I think just from the stress of homecoming and stress of dealing with my pro fights and dealing with my neos and dealing with everybody else who was calling my phone at 6:00 in the morning on Saturday morning, I had some aggression to let out, so I just...
Period.
It all came out at that point in time, and yeah.
Okay.
So that's that.
Alright, good.
How are you?
I'm alright. It's been a fucking crazy week. My car was broken into at choir rehearsal.
Ghetto.
Like a week and a half ago. And they stole my fucking MacBook, bitch. And I didn't even know. Okay, so I gotta talk about it. So, choir rehearsal was great. Gay and married with my choir brothers. Get to my car. I don't even realize that my car had been tampered with. Get in the car.
Glass.
And close the door.
It's not funny,
slams
but...
it. Bitch. I hear glass. And I'm like, huh? So I turn around.
Carl, I'm so sorry. This should not be funny.
I know, it is funny. It's comical. Turned around, and I could see straight out my car. And I was like, wait, something? Okay. And so I get out my car, slam the door again, more glass falls. Don't know why the fuck I did that. But I'm like in shock. I'm like, somebody really broke into my fucking car.
Busted your shit.
Right, and I'm at a church. I'm like in Midtown. I'm like, damn, like really?
Right.
And so I'm like, well, they didn't take anything, clearly. Because I went home before going to choir rehearsal and was like, I'm going to change my clothes. Because I usually wear my work clothes. I was like, I'm going to be comfortable. I'm going to put my briefcase in the house. All this stuff. Guess I didn't put my briefcase in the house because they stole my motherfucking briefcase. And I confirmed my roommate before I assumed. So I was like, Kyla, girl, is my briefcase in my room? And she walked in, she was like, no, I don't see it. And I was like, bitch, they stole my MacBook. And she was like, stop. And I was like, girl, I'm gonna call you back. I gotta call the police.
I did not believe you when you texted me that.
Nigga! Okay,
I
and
did
so
not believe you.
they came, one of my choir brothers, he's a police officer, so he was like, I'm a fingerprint expert. And my car was dirty as fuck. And so their fingerprints was like on that bitch. And he was like, I could tell exactly how they like knocked the window out. And he got his flashlight because he was wearing his uniform. He was about to go to work. And he got his flashlight. He was like, you see that?
Oh, that's wild.
And he was just flickering the flashlight on the side of the thing. We saw the fingerprints and everything. So APD finally came like an hour and a half later. They dusted for fingerprints, did a police report. No, the crazy part of all this, we have a security guard. Right?
For
the course. That was supposed to be patrolling the cars.
what the fuck?
Where the fuck was he at when all this happened? I don't know.
Because like breaking a windshield, like that's not like a windshield.
Yeah. And it was two
or like the
cars.
Back of the car.
It was two cars that were hit. And both shit got taken out of it.
So the first one, okay.
Apparently
he should have heard it.
He should have heard it.
But
where he was.
Two cars?
It was two cars, and two MacBooks, iPads, all that shit was stolen. It was just a MacBook for me, but the other guy had his iPad stolen. I think his wallet was in there.
And then this was the church you performed in for your concert, right?
No, this was St. Mark's.
Was it someone down the street?
It's down the street from the Woodruff. It wasn't.
But it's still like
Bronx.
it's on a main street
it's
where
on
like a bunch of people are passing, right?
Yes.
So
he wasn't doing his job, and
did nobody see?
So okay, and so
after your own business.
After the fact, I called my choir buddy, and he brought like a whole village of people, which included the police officer, our president, our music librarian, and a few other friends. And so the president was like, "Oh, wait, he's not coming back." And I was like, "Okay, thanks." Clearly, because fuck, my shit was stolen, and somebody else's shit was stolen. What's good?
Damn.
And so that's how I started my weekend. And then Sunday, a tire popped on 85 when I was on my way to see a play at the Alliance. And then Wednesday, a tire popped not too far from McAfee. And so on Thursday, I spent my entire day at NTB, not entire day, entire first half of the day at NTB. Your phone always the fuck goes off.
You said what? Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyway, Thursday, I spent my entire half of the day, first half of the day at NTB getting my tires fixed, and I was hit on by this older man who referred to my gayness as a lifestyle. And I was like, it's 2020, nigga.
At this point.
Like, we're trying to normalize ourselves. Don't call who we are a lifestyle. That is just so aggravating to me. But he was really hitting on me. He was like, you're really cute. He gave me a free tire. He took off a discount for my brakes. And I just milked that hoe until I got my invoice.
What the hell? I need to go.
But what took me off?
Do you see the donut on my car?
Yes. Yeah, go and just fly a little bit.
I'm gonna wear my Adidas pants.
And put Beyonce on your screen because that was his conversation
that was
starter.
The giveaway.
He was like, so you just got your girl on your phone? And I was like, this is Beyonce, which is probably confirmation of my sexuality. And he goes, oh, okay, cool. And then like the conversation switched from my tires to like him trying to hit on me.
Get in your pants.
And I was like, I'm vegetarian. He was like, but you eat meat. And I was like, please, let's just not. Yes, but please, I don't want to have this conversation with you. You look like my father. And so we started talking about my father, which was another turn off. And then he said that he wanted to get my number, but he went into the system and got my number and texted me. And I was like,
he did not do that.
He went into the system, got my number. He was like, I usually don't do this. And I was like, okay, so this is a turn off. You didn't, like,
you broke protocol.
I understand that you have my number, but you should have just been like, hey, can I get your number? Like, you know.
Why didn't you ask me? See, this the fucking problem. Niggas don't ever want to be upfront, be real about shit. This whatever.
What you tapping your watch for?
Because he gotta go.
Girl, okay. So anyway, if you haven't realized at this point, we got some fucking guests. Because we told these bitches to stay quiet till we introduce them. And of course, two of these hoes can't shut the hell up. Love them to pieces though. Yes. And so today we're going to just do this really rough transition. Today we're going to have a discussion about, what did I put on a note?
I'm pulling it up.
The Black higher ed experience. I said high ed. My sleepy ass.
Because we hired a motherfucker.
The Black higher ed experience. And so we have some very esteemed guests with us today to talk about what it was to exist in their skin at their secondary institution. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to go around the room and have you all introduce yourselves. And I guess we can start to the left and then go around.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, that he's your left, but whatever.
Okay, my left.
It ain't so.
Alright.
Hey y'all, my name is Keon Nicholas Aaron Berry. I'm a senior sociology major from Morehouse College. I'm from Windsor, Connecticut. Pronouns he, him, sexual orientation, straight, race, black, blacker than black. So no. What was it like to exist at Morehouse?
Yeah.
It's truly eye-opening. I think for me, I came in with a lot of like preconceived notions and stereotypes about what it means to be black. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that like it's not limited to our imaginations, right? It's kind of what it just is, because people are allowed to exist and we're only allotted the time to experience them for however long they're here.
I can't mute the computer.
You can't. Oh, you can't.
No.
Oh well. Yeah.
But
sorry about that.
Now you're good. We're only allowed to experience them for as long as they're here. So it just really was eye-opening for me. Morehouse is a very unique place. I think there's a place for every black male on campus. Like it's literally a space. Like you can be quiet, you can be loud, you can be like literally anyone and be a black male there, which is what makes it such a special place. Mm-hmm. Like it's a real place to cultivate your own self. Which is what I really needed. I know that I wasn't fully cognizant about what it meant to be black growing up in Connecticut and just like not having like that cultural influence and things like that. But it opened up my eyes to like really who I was and like what I could do and like how I could impact change and things like that. I think just having like so many resources at your hand is so beneficial. Like literally like at the career fair every year, like every major company that you can imagine comes to recruit at our schools. Mm-hmm. Like literally every major company you can imagine, like Google, freaking Twitter,
sure,
Microsoft, freaking General Mills cereal. Like literally everybody like comes to recruit. So it's awesome.
I love me some Frosted Flakes.
Okay.
That's General Mills,
right?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. So I think that's a dope experience. I think the biggest thing for me was I learned a lot about the LGBTQ community.
Oh, really?
Where I'm from, it's not like in the South. People are a lot more like open to it because there are a lot of people who are just open and straightforward. Like where I'm from, like people really were like getting bullied into like hiding it and things like that.
We got bullied down here too.
No, but I'm talking about like how like some people are very like themselves and expressive. That's not
got you.
That don't happen where I'm from. Like exactly.
Which
right.
is
That's crazy.
I feel like maybe it's a West East because I don't think it's a South thing. I think South in the South, it tends to be more conservative
Right.
than up north. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that's
But
very
Connecticut is weird. It's a
Yeah,
very weird.
Yeah, it's a weird
that's
state.
weird.
I've been through
It's so
Connecticut.
weird.
Y'all got some hoods in Connecticut.
Hold on.
Some real.
People really play like Connecticut has like 3 out of top 10. 3 of the top 10 most dangerous cities are from
Oh yeah,
Connecticut.
y'all don't play up there.
Yeah, literally.
They don't.
Yeah, literally.
That's my
Hartford,
shit.
Waterbury, and New
When I
Haven.
drove through there, I said,
Yeah.
oh.
Discrimination. I need a map.
That is that's New England.
It's like, yeah,
Where
near
is that?
Boston, New York, in
Yeah.
between, like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Right by Boston, New
New
York, right.
My mom's thinking Colorado.
that's funny.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
So we're going to transition to Danny.
Let's talk
Thank
about
you
what
for that,
school
man.
you went to.
We're going to transition to
It
Danny.
really was. I don't know. I heard Connecticut, but it was really thinking Colorado.
Ah.
Anyway,
How?
see, I was really
No,
thinking. My mind was
baby.
really just thinking Colorado. I mean, obviously, I know that they're 2 different places.
Jesus Christ.
Don't try to play my intellect hoes. Anyway,
Go ahead.
Sorry to this man.
good morning. You get on my nerves.
I just don't know who he is.
Good morning. I'm Danielle. I went to FAMU. I'm a graduate of FAMU.
Mhm.
I love my HBCU. My experience was nothing short of amazing. I think much like Keon was saying at Morehouse, there's something for everybody that I really love about my institution. It was really, truly, we call FAMU, call it a family. And it truly,
Ass.
it's what it is.
Hey, Rattlers. They'd be like, hey, Rattlers.
It's-
Let's all tee up and.
Rattlers are everywhere. Rattlers are everywhere, and rattlers are going to uplift you, and that's
Ooh.
that on that.
Periods.
Okay, school.
Period.
I mean,
What are we talking about?
okay.
No, that's it,
Let's talk
right.
about your
So,
experience.
my
Keep it
experience,
condensed,
my
girl, 'cause we know.
experience at FAMU, like I said, was nothing short of amazing. Immediately, my freshman year on campus, first semester freshman year, I tried out for the step team, which is where I found my closest friends at school. And so most of my first semester freshman year was taken up by that, but immediately, like I said, off rip, I was able to find somewhere. I knew it's something that I love. I was able to find somewhere that I love and find people that I love in doing that. But even for people that are a little, because I'm pretty loud, outspoken, and outgoing, but even for people that aren't, you are always able to find somewhere to go. From, like Keon was saying, from the quietest person to the loudest person, you were able to be who you wanted to be and figure out where you wanted to go. So I truly enjoyed the HBCU experience. I love my blackness. I love my black people. But on the flip side of that, I was able to see a little difference in culture because if you know FAMU, you know Florida State is right across the tracks. For the most part, they stay in their lane, but if you want to go to any of the good stores, you got to go to their lane. So we didn't stay in our lane. They stayed over there, but they didn't come over where we was, but we would have to go on that side of the tracks for the better things. FAMU was on the south side of Tallahassee, so you had to go over there with them to get the nice things, the whole foods and the healthy and all of these things were on their side. So they had like a Piggly Wiggly or something over there with us. But
That
you
is
gotta drive
black
15
as
minutes.
hell.
I'm not even gonna cap. When I visited FAMU, y'all got a nice little vibe. Like I was like, oh, this is what it's like to be at FAMU. You know, I felt a little bit of FAMU-ly, okay?
That's
Like,
it.
it was a little. They had a little jazz. They had a casual jazz band outside. I was like, oh, okay.
You know, they put on a little bit for homecoming.
You know.
I mean,
Out the window.
She's like, that was for homecoming, but
But it's definitely lit. I mean, I knew my siblings went to FAMU, my cousin went to FAMU, they're graduates. I knew immediately going onto the campus at their freshman year orientation that was where I wanted to be.
Right.
Just based off of what I saw, how I felt, even being, because I was freshman year, they was freshman college, we were freshmen in high school, going into high school at the time. So even being 13, 14 years of age, I knew like, this is what I want. The culture of the school immediately is like, this is what I want. Now them heels, I could do without. But the culture experience was it for me.
That's beautiful. All right, Danny. So, Peri girl, come on.
Alright, y'all, hello. I am Peri. I went to University of Miami down in Miami, Florida. And my college experience, I loved it. I don't believe that it would be for everyone, but I personally loved it. I also think that even though I went to a PWI, it was an interesting, like it wasn't your typical PWI like a UGA or Alabama or something. It was, because we were in Miami, it was a lot of people of the Latinx community that went to my school, so it was kind of interesting to see that dynamic. Like, even now, if I go to UGA or something, I'm like, this is not my PWI. Like, my PWI was a little different from this. I feel like there's a lot of just different cultures and people from all over the place. But my experience, like, going into college was interesting just because my first time going to University of Miami was when I moved in. Like, the day I moved in to go freshman year. Yeah, that was my first time, like, ever being on campus, ever visiting. And honestly, I didn't visit that many schools prior to even deciding to college anyway. So I kind of just was like, Miami seems like a cool place. Like, I wouldn't mind going there. And I think it worked out for me just as a black woman in general because I felt pretty, like, solidified, I guess, in my blackness. Like, I felt, like, very comfortable with who I was as a black woman, so I didn't feel like me going to a PWI would, like, change any of that, or make me feel like any less of a black woman, yeah, you know? Mm-hmm. So when I went, I was just like, oh, I could find my community, like, anywhere, but it was my first time literally ever being around people who weren't black. Like,
because I was gonna say, like, I feel like you being secure in your blackness also had a lot to do with where you grew up and where you came from. Yeah,
because I grew up in Decatur, Georgia, literally went to Southwest Decatur High School, blackity black, like, all my whole life, just black classes, the whole nine. So going there was a huge culture shock. Like, I was like, wow, this is different, but it was a good different for me. So I liked it. I thought it was really good.
I think it's easy though because you get along with almost everybody.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that's why I say it's like very individualistic.
Yeah, you're pretty easygoing well, I know otherwise. But I think in the most part, like, you're pretty easygoing. Everybody kind of gravitates towards you, which I think also helped in the success of being around different people. Then you're outgoing within yourself, so and insecure in who you are. So I think that really helped going into that new experience.
Yeah.
So to offer some background, a few of us date very far back. I've known Peri since the 3rd grade, and then Danielle since the 6th. Sean since the 10th, 9th, 10th, one of those. And then I just met Keon today. But Sean has a relationship with
Sean beforehand. Well, we knew Sean beforehand because of band.
Yes. Yeah. And so relationships run deep, and so if we have like side tangents that y'all don't understand, it's really because we're all
really
friends.
we were like really friends.
Yeah. And so it's beautiful because we've all had different experiences. We've all had different takes on what the college experience is. And did you want to reiterate some of your experiences? Yeah, sure, I can.
Just so because I mean we've talked about them in previous episodes, but just so
refresh,
we have it in context of what we're talking about.
Yeah, of course. And so I went to Georgia. This is Carlton speaking. I went to Georgia Southern, and I graduated with my Bachelor of Science in Public Relations. And I too grew up in a very black focused environment. And I mean, going to Southern, I didn't really experience culture shock per se, because I can say that Southwest DeKalb, very strangely, and just my development as a student, going through DeKalb County, we were taught that there was more outside of our community.
Right.
Or at least my classes, or my mom probably more so than my father, taught me that there was more outside of my community, right? And so I didn't really have much exposure to white people prior to going to Southern outside of like watching Disney Channel. But when I went to Southern, I kind of was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I can make friends that don't necessarily look like me or come from where I come from. Because going to Southwest DeKalb, it was blackity black, and 98% of the school was black, and then the people who weren't black acted black. And so, like,
right.
Lord. And so, it was just a very interesting experience for me, but I was able to find my community at my little problematic ass school. And, I mean, it was economical.
Statement.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to read the fuck out of Southern very quickly. But I mean, it was a great experience. I was able to find my community. I was able to find my successes, and I was able to take what I needed to take and still enjoy my college experience through it all. Mm-hmm. And so that's me. Okay. How about you, Sean?
Well, I am a Kennesaw State University alumni. I graduated with Damn, what did I graduate with?
You know it.
Oh, Bachelor of Arts.
He forgot
in
because
music.
he got his degree.
Y'all,
I need you to go to that damn school and get it.
if
You
y'all
still
haven't,
got your
known,
diploma?
I don't have my damn diploma.
Why you don't have your diploma?
It's probably because I owe this library $9.
Well, you need to go ahead and play this library so you can get your diploma.
I can cash app you that before you leave. I don't want to.
Because
But
you
the
work
thing-
hard for that little piece of paper.
Oh, okay.
The thing is, it has to be either cash or check, and I never have cash. Look, out of all the
You
technological
pull
shit,
up some cash out of ATM.
I'm not about to pull no 20 out.
Just Venmo me. I give you $10. Get your dog.
I'm not about to break no 20.
Listen.
Fuck it.
Like, I'm about to pull out a whole-
That is trifling time.
Look.
Right, you can hold the $20 in cash in your wallet for emergency.
Look. But anyways, I graduated from Kennesaw State University with a Bachelor of Arts in Music, Composition, Concentration, and a Dance minor. As everyone else said, like my close friends said, I am also from Southwest DeKalb High School, so my blackness was very concrete going into the school. And I think Carlton brought up a great point of, especially with being in Southwest DeKalb's band, we were put in environments and exposed to other cultures. So we were playing with the white kids, we were playing with the Asian kids, we were playing on stages that, historically were only for white people. So
Yep.
I think my band director, who is also a FAMU alumni, he did a great job of, all right, you're black and you have to exist in this world, but you have to put out and you have to perform. And you can't let your, what is it called? The things that are put against you hold you back from being successful. And then on top of that, I just did a lot of honor bands and just did a lot of honor ensembles where I was the only black person. I played French horn. Don't many black motherfuckers play French horn.
And that's true.
And then not only that, like, I was a black French hornist and I had dreads. So, like, existing in spaces didn't really bother me. So my 4 years, I was definitely alone my first year, but just due to me being a social person, I found my niche sort of quickly, especially me being ingrained in music and having to take all the courses that I had to take. I found Kappa Kappa Psi first, being a charter member, but even with that, like, LBs, all of my charter members, all that stuff are white. So with me being from Southwest DeKalb, East Atlanta, I'm like, I wanna do some hood rap shit. I wanna fuck some shit up. And of course, finding my friends and all that other stuff. But I think that's what definitely pushed me towards. And then being an RA, I found my group of people who just happened to be black, people who were, I don't know what it is, but eventually me joining my fraternity and existing in that and being ingrained with the black community at KSU. So I didn't really struggle with placement and existing at a PWI, but it definitely had its challenges with being black, because there are just a lot of racial things that go on at Kennesaw, because Kennesaw was like the base for like the Confederate. So like the surrounding areas and a lot of people who do go to the school, it's just a lot of
Still
racial,
based in it.
it's a lot of racial tension. But of course, like I said, I didn't struggle with it because we grew up in that. We grew up having to perform in those spaces.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, that's dope. I'm all for it. So we're going to start off the conversation kind of with a little game here. And the purpose of this game is not, the purpose of our conversation today is not to do anything but to promote a healthy and productive black educational experience. So
Right.
whether you go to a PWI, HBCU, community college, technical school, DeVry,
Well, hold
make
on.
it, huh? You said what? I mean, I'm just,
Oh,
I'm just
sorry.
saying.
Ah,
Come on, DeVry. Where you go?
Come on, DeVry.
It does not matter where you go. Okay.
ICBC.
Evelyn,
Georgia Piedmont.
Period.
Stanford.
Phoenix. Do what you gotta do to get your experience. Do what you gotta do to get your education, because it's value added. Like people can try to knock you for everything that you own, but they can't take your knowledge from you. So that's on period.
Yeah,
We're gonna get
word.
into this conversation. We're gonna play this game called In Your Opinion, Who Does It Best? I know that's not the most like catchy name, but we're gonna make it work. Okay, so basically I'm gonna list a few determining factors for which many high school seniors explore during their college selection process. Everyone votes on which educational institution, PWI, HBCU, or both, does it best or offers the best resources in their opinion and why. Okay?
Got it.
Cool. And so the categories, I'm just gonna do
Just
one
do
by
one,
one.
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna copy. So the first one is gonna be financial
PWI.
assistance.
Literally, listen, I love my HBCU with all my heart and soul.
Yeah.
But if you've been to an HBCU, honey, you know about the financial aid struggle.
I need that money.
You know about the struggle. Now, the thing about our people, our good old people, for whatever reason, they hate coming to work.
Oh, hello.
I didn't
The
ask
same
you
job that they prayed all night for.
I didn't ask you to sit behind this financial aid counter. So don't get no attitude with me when I'm trying to find out about my money. You know what I'm saying? But I am actually now, because you called financial aid to be on hold for an hour and a half.
Oh no.
Literally.
And that's on period.
TSU don't even put their financial
Like-
aid number online.
And the thing is,
That's fine.
the thing is, you know they just don't be answering the phone because you'll stand in the financial aid office and dial the number
Oh no.
and watch a bitch not answer the phone.
Did you operate?
Like,
That is so
ma'am.
trifling.
But I will say I didn't have too much of a struggle with financial aid just because I learned at a very young age how to operate, how to work the system.
Right.
Find you a person, Miss Cherry. Shout out to Miss Cherry. Find you a person. You gotta find you a person. And the thing is, even when them little helpers be looking nasty and like they hate their job, you really just gotta go to like, hey, how's your day going? Whatever, for them to kind of open up to you. And once I found my person, that's who I stick with. And I went as far as the VP of Student Affairs. That's my homeboy. Period.
Come on, VP.
That's where the coin's gonna come from. You know what I'm saying? Quickly joined the organization that I knew he was a part of. Presidential Ambassador, shout out to y'all. And that was his everything student affairs. So we branched off of him. So
Yep.
we're traveling with him from schools to schools promoting
Right.
the university.
And you know
And
what to do.
Right.
How to
And
do
the
it.
PAs and the presidential ambassadors are, considered some of the best of the best at the school.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So being in that avenue, creating those relationships with him, people like Miss Cherry when it came down to paperwork, and they're like, well, fax it. No, y'all gonna lose it. Miss Cherry, I'm standing right here. I'm gonna hit fax it. I'm gonna get it right here. Like those kind of things are relationships you gotta have. Unfortunately, going in there with an attitude ain't gonna cut it without other black women behind that counter.
Right.
Because they're not gonna respond well to it. Even though you frustrated because they done messed up your stuff. When I did have that one time with financial aid,
Ooh.
honey, so the college of ed,
Which has
had
set it
gave
off.
us some, college of education had gave us some scholarships.
Yeah.
Got the scholarships. Semester over. Boom. End of the semester, financial aid goes, you owe us $1,000. I'm sorry, I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket this semester. What are you saying? Well, we gave you too much money. I'm sorry, but that's not my business.
Right.
And you know what's crazy, Danielle?
Like,
What's crazy is, and what sort of turned me off to FAMU, because when I auditioned for HBCUs and PWIs, I auditioned for FAMU, Kennesaw, Georgia State.
Yeah.
I was around. FAMU was actually my top pick because I just liked the musicians that they create. I wanted to be a part of that. But when it came to my scholarship, I didn't get. So I auditioned. They were like, "Oh, full scholarship, off rip." Auditioned for Kennesaw, same thing basically. And I actually got offered less money at Kennesaw. It didn't cover like my full tuition. But I didn't get my scholarship from FAMU until July, the summer I was going into school. At that point,
You don't
I gotta
already
go
paid your
somewhere else.
deposit. You
like,
already.
because when it comes to processing, like when you're processing April, March,
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
other stuff, and when it comes to scholarships, you have to be on top of that stuff because you have to make a decision and start working on
Right.
housing and your classes and all
Yeah.
that other stuff, orientations. Like, so me getting my damn scholarship letter in July, what am I supposed to do?
right.
And The band director who at the time, I'm not gonna say his name or anything. Y'all can probably figure it out because I done said it at school. But he walked in. Look, I'm living my truth right now. But when he came into the band room, like towards the end of my senior semester, he was like, "Where's your stuff at? I haven't heard from you." And I was like, "I haven't heard from you." Like, I've already accepted my award letter from Kennesaw State, and then not only that, I had to make decisions about my other schools because I had deadlines for acceptance for those scholarships.
Yep.
So I'm like, I can't operate on an unknown.
Yeah.
And
be asked.
Yeah, like literally, like for me coming to Morehouse, it came down to the day before, and $17,000 just mysteriously appeared in my account.
Crazy.
And I was praying about it, and the only reason why I ended up going was because of God. Like literally, I just kept getting signs. Like I literally saw a plane fly, and I heard God say to me, "That's the reminder of the promise." I was like, "All right." I was in a Chinese restaurant. I heard him say to me, "Prepare to pack your bags." I said, "Nigga, I don't care." And I kid y'all not. Before you know it, I literally woke up, and there was $17,000 in my account, and I was gone.
That's
I was
crazy.
gone, and I was it. It's like literally like. I think it's the professionalism. It's ridiculous. And also, to the allocation of funds at HBCUs, people are giving. Where that money is going, I don't know. Because Morehouse, the past president, was breaking records for bringing in money. Where was that money going? It should be reflected in the physical conditions of the building. It should be reflected in the faculty who you hire. Like, people are giving their money to this. So for me, y'all, I don't play. I deal with the head and not the tail. I called Dr. David Anthony Thomas in for a meeting. I said, I need to talk to you because you're trying to promote a mission that's not going to be attainable with the people you have on your team. And I was like, honestly, as someone who's a senior who's getting ready to leave, because I want to see you do well, and I want to see the school here when I come back, I'm going to just be real with you about some of the things that are going on. This one, and this one needs to go.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
Straight up, like we had this conversation. Even the provost was like, "Well, why don't y'all just tell us?" As administrators, do your jobs.
Yeah.
You should be evaluating the status of your institution consistently.
Like, how many times are students having this conversation with you about this same professor who's committing these sexual assault?
Right. And I think one of the things that we do lack in that is finding out the information from the student body. Like, one thing I know about, like, my boyfriend goes to Kennesaw. Over here on the Marietta campus, and they have like town hall meetings where people go and voice their concern. We don't do that. You gonna complain? You gonna complain on your Twitter? You gonna complain on your Instagram?
Then they like, "Oh, let me take that down. Take that down."
You know, it's not where we're. And I won't say that there are meetings that are not happening, but there are meetings happening like in front of the board of trustees and these things. But the students aren't going there. The students don't want to go sit around with some old biddies.
So
you know what I'm saying? We're not going there.
I guess a follow-up question to that: what does SGA look like on you all's campuses?
It depends. It could be a popularity competition.
Absolutely.
This year, it's literally student. This year, we have a good SGA. In past years, we've had SGAs who have been student. Like, I don't even know why last year, and I don't care. I don't know why last year's SGA president was SGA president. He was online, and all of a sudden he just got off and won. Yeah. That's because all y'all who wanted to be alphas, voted for him, thinking that y'all were gonna make line, and you still didn't make line.
That's so important.
Maybe not this time. They might make it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
no, it really is. Go ahead, Rob.
It's a different ballpark because that's what turned me off to HBCUs too. Because I wanted to go to Howard, but they wasn't trying to drop no money. And my mama actually brought it back. My mom was like, "Who paying for that?" I was like, "Well, if I go for a year, I'll get a presidential scholarship, and then they'll drop." Like, and my mom was like, "No, you gonna go to this public school, just like I went to a public school." And we gonna get this hope and
keep hope alive.
You keep hope. They used to put that shit over me all the time. They used to be like, "You better hope."
Hope would have been real nice. Okay. But that SGA thing is good. You said because we do things a lot differently than PWIs.
Yeah.
Like if you everybody follow me. You see my Instagram doing campaign season.
Yeah, girl, you be going.
Because you probably stay away from it. Like, campaign season at HBCUs, FAMU especially, is
big.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, like, we do, like, even as far as, like, our court, which y'all would consider a homecoming court. Like we was walking on campus the other day, and I saw these little girls with sashes that said homecoming court. I said, well, where her ground?
Yeah.
What does she serve on the court? That just say homecoming
You're
court,
a,
honey.
pe-
What
you're
is
a
she?
peasant until you win.
What is she doing? You know what I'm saying? Whereas we do, our campaign season is in February for the year. We don't wait till October for homecoming and do a little week.
You gotta serve for
thing.
a
Like,
full year.
We run in February and it's huge. We want to see the best of the best. I mean, I won 2 campaigns.
Oh, period.
Never have run for a thing,
on.
but have won 2
Okay,
campaigns.
Olivia.
I'm 2 SMUs. I'm 11 and 12. What was I, 13? Who was actually one of my neos? So,
Yes. Shout out to Kyra D. Freeman, the 113th Miss Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
Okay.
Period. That's my
And her
homegirl.
ism, which is my line sister, Simone Cooper, Miss 112.
Period.
But anyway,
And know what? I really like Imani. I got to meet her recently. She's mad cool, bro.
That girl crazy. But anyway, love you, cool. But no, yeah. So it's a really big thing, and it's about. And in some instances, it can be about who is really for the people, who seems the most genuine
Right.
in the position. But for a majority of it, it's a popularity contest.
Yeah.
You know, and same thing with SGA. We've had some pretty good SGAs, but the thing about it is Greeks want to run the yard.
Yeah.
What is an aspect in Greeks running the yard? Being on the court, being in SGA.
SGA involved.
So like
Yep.
SGA was this past year was an alpha, was the president, and my line sister Robin was VP. So they're in there, but I got 55 line sisters who backing. You know what I'm saying? Well, this actually before she won before we crossed. Money won right before we crossed. So we was actually online in this getting online in this spring, but these are the things that happen. Like he was saying, you was on when you online the campaign and then you just popped out and you on top. Yeah, because they've been breeding you since your freshman year to win these things. Like, oh, we know he want to be out, but let's breed him so we can be on top. Because he's
right.
And you know what?
political in that way.
That's what helped me determine what my Greek move was going to be, because no one in my family is Greek. But I had the chance to sit back and watch who was really moving a certain way.
Watch how the yard
And like the
moves.
Sigmas were literally the most genuine. My freshman year, they literally whooped everyone's ass. They were chapter of the year. Like they like literally set the tone. And literally everyone hated the Sigmas for no reason. Even me. Like I literally was like, oh, these niggas are so annoying.
Sigmas.
No, literally, I was like, these niggas are so like. We had no reason not to like them. They literally whooped everyone's asses. They were the nicest guys. Like we had no reason not to like them. We just didn't, you know. And then I sat back and thought, and I was like, wait, what am I doing? Like these dudes actually ran the yard. Like they were those dudes, you know. And like I'm happy to like be a part of like a chapter and like an organization of genuine men, because I feel like when I interact with them, I myself, like I was at tailgate yesterday, I was telling Sean and them, I was like, I really love y'all. And the reason being is because when I'm on Instagram or I'm in public, I'm Keon and Peri. But when I'm with y'all, I'm just Keon. Like I get that luxury to just be myself.
That's
and like
beautiful.
you don't always get that luxury with like a whole bunch of people. You know, especially a large group of people to just accept you for who you are,
Yeah.
right? Like when you find a space where you can just like authentically be yourself, and people will just say, "Well, that's just who he is." That's the type of spaces that I want to be. Like those are the type of spaces that I want to occupy. You know, so just sitting back and watching that, like. There were mad dudes who could have. We've had SJ presidents in Chi chapter. We've had Mr. Blue and Whites in Chi chapter, right? I could have ran for SJ president this year, but I didn't because that's not me.
Right.
Not what you want.
And there are a lot of people who are, like you said, in these positions
Do anything
who
for
just
clout.
want to do. Yeah, you know, we want to make sure that our organization is represented. But are you the best for the job?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the school goes to hell, right, or goes to shit because
but
people aren't.
I won't just blame the sororities and fraternities for those things, because the student body has to
gotta
vote.
vote. That's
The
true.
student body has to vote, so it's up to you
It's a reflection
to
of
actually
what's-
when the debate happens. When the debate happens before voting, it's up to you to go actually see what they talking about and not just try to find a free vote. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if you want
That's
to
a
know,
fact.
you know what I mean?
That's
You
a
want to know
fact.
what they talking about, what they want to do.
So you
then-
still having Chick-fil-A? I'm finna pull it
Right,
today.
then that's up to you go.
Yeah.
But campaigning, like I said, FMU is so serious. Mara was 110 who campaign I helped run. She was giving away TV. Like,
TV.
you know
Oh
what
my
I'm saying?
God.
She wrapped it off of TV. Like, this is the
got my
kind of
vote.
thing.
At this
She
point,
wrapped it
okay.
off of flat
I don't
screen.
care.
A flat screen, I was like,
This
okay,
is the
cool.
kind of
Big
things
bag.
that, you know, that are occurring at FAMU, and they say don't bribe the churn, but you be bribing the churn, you know what I'm saying? But see, not me, because I love campaign season, because I like free stuff. So I'm going to go to your table and your table and your table. I tell everybody who campaign I help, I'm going to get their stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to vote for you, but I'm going to get their stuff.
Get it.
They've already spent their monies, so someone better partake. You know what I'm saying?
And it will be me.
And it's going to be me. But people go all out in this way. My line sister, when she ran for freshman center, she had a whole backdrop with her face on it. These are the things. Marvin had a cutout. Like, these are the things. And I think it even differs in Greek life from HBCU to PWI. Sean, correct me if I'm wrong. Peri, correct me if I'm wrong. Greek life differs from HBCU to PWI.
So that's a great transition. We can talk about
Well, I wanted to skip to that one.
Greek letter organizations, Black Greek letter organizations at PWIs versus HBCUs.
I will say this, and this just may be because of the organization I'm a part of, and how Sigmas operate in the state of Georgia. I just feel like I don't feel like we're different as far as like personality and like personality as a chapter, but I feel like Sigmas are Sigmas. Like, we're all very close in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
So like when it comes from campus to campus, it's not different.
I'm gonna be
Like,
real, Sean, but you know what? Georgia Sigmas are mad tight. Go somewhere else and watch how it is. Like, literally, like Georgia Sigmas, like we are Georgia Sigmas, like period. Like we are like he said, everybody. We're Georgia Sigmas, right?
Like,
Everybody.
when it
Like,
comes to how we operate on campus, the things that we're doing, like we're one
But
of
do
the
you feel like the whole entire Greek life, like,
Oh no.
and that's what I'm saying.
No.
Like Georgia Sigmas, like come with it, like heavy. I didn't been to Connecticut. I went to see UConn Sigmas, and I'm not even trying to throw it in.
This is
Folks was
it's open platform.
freaking locking up with other organizations,
Oh, that's
not welcoming.
Like locking up.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Boom.
I mean,
Boom,
I'm
lock
like-
up.
well, I mean, in Michigan, I've heard stories of like people pledging together, but I'm not locking up.
Yeah, people
that-
have pledged together in history. Deltas and Qs pledged together sometimes. So
Well,
they
I've
have,
no, but
I've
it's
heard
different when you're
49.
locking up with
I've heard
organization.
49.
I would never lock up with an
you mean
SGO.
like you talking about locking up? Like
Yes, I'm talking about lock up, like child.
That's
No.
Greek
That,
union.
okay. So, and you
but
call that's
another
a
thing.
That's a
PWI.
Yeah.
good.
People believe in Greek unity a lot. Different.
And then they're saying,
different
oh,
regions and
right.
different
And they say, oh, you know, I would never call someone who I didn't pledge with my LB or LS. People be like, oh, that's my LB, that's my LS, somebody from a different organization. And I'm
Now
like,
it depends though, because we do that at FAMU because everybody got a process. So I have line sisters and line brothers on my step team. You know, like somebody might have line sisters on their dance or somebody have
That's
line
fair.
brothers on their dance
So,
or
like,
everybody at FAMU
different-
has a process. So I
no,
have
that's
my line
different.
sisters and
I'm
Delta and
talking
my line
about
sisters
Greek
and
life.
something else.
Like, I'm not going to go up, like, say if he was a Q, I'm not going to be like, yo, what's good, LB?
Oh no.
No,
Yes.
we're not line brothers
know.
at
I've
all,
seen the-
ever.
You do your saying, you got your sayings. You know, you holler at your sayings.
Right, you're saying.
Like so we have our ism. So ism is somebody who has the same number as you that come before you. So I'm a 28. You might be a 28 in Zeta or in or shoot
Right,
in
that's
Sigma.
your- that's your
But I'm not gonna call you my ism though.
Right.
I might call you my is, which is for us is different things. Is
Right.
IZ, then ism ISM.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we got the same number. Okay, you cool, but you ain't gonna never be my LS.
Yeah.
We crossed at the same time, so you my sayings.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I
And you'll
thought
be
that was
treated
like a
as
universal.
you're gonna be treated as
Yeah, and it should be universal, but folks be getting too cordial, like, oh yeah, you know, we pledge at the same time. We the only black students here, so even though we different organizations, we all just go. Nah.
I'm here for the unity, but
We don't.
Well, because Kennesaw State, we don't know.
No.
It is
Maybe
nobody
it's
on
the
the
North
University
Thing.
of Miami's campus.
Yeah, they be doing some other stuff in the north.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Iota, the new chapter who I'm calling LS. I can promise you.
I mean,
and that's on period.
because I just I mean, I guess so things may differ. I've observed things at PWIs that they just move differently than
No,
HBCUs.
right.
Yeah.
I feel like yay and nay because I feel like for University of Miami, especially like any PWI, automatically for the most part you're gonna have less members in your chapter than what HBCU would have.
Right.
But I feel like the culture of whatever your organization is tends to be the same across different campuses. Just from my point of view, like the Alpha is always just gonna be, you know, the bookworms. That's always.
Well, that's not true because that's not necessarily true because it really depends on your campus, who runs the yard and how they behave on various campuses are different.
Because real talk, like if I went to a different school, people be like, "Oh, you're a Sigma?
Yeah,
what does that mean?" Like,
they may think of you to be in another order based off of your appearance or based off of these things. Like our Alphas wear suits, but so do our Kappas.
So
yeah, I mean, but so do our Kappas. But I'm just saying, like the way they carry themselves, just the aura. Like the Kappas always gonna be walking around with a cane or something. Like it's like
that's just
it depends. It depends though, because a lot of Sigmas walk around with canes, and you can't tell us we didn't have them first.
Sigmas do.
So
I see Sigmas with the blue and white canes in the window. But the other thing is our Alphas don't do whistles. Beta Nu don't blow whistles. Beta Nu don't ape. Beta Nu, you never gonna see Beta Nu acting like a monkey.
So,
you never was.
So I think this transitions perfectly because honestly, damn, I lost my fucking point. But I was just gonna say, I think it just depends on campus to campus. Like it, like
your chapter and what
your chapter and like. It's not even a PWI versus HBCU thing. It's almost like a region, state type of thing. So going into our, do we want to do one more category or? Because we're
I'm just following the flow of the conversation.
Okay. Well, since we're sort of talking about that, I saw this this tweet the other day, and we're gonna post it on our social media when this episode airs. But I just felt away. I felt away. And it quotes, "Dear #PWI alumni and friends, your homecoming / tailgate ain't almost like a HBCU because you had fish, brunch chicken, bartenders, and DJs spinning, and that's okay. Just enjoy the festivities. Signed, all #HBCU Greeks."
I have
I'm sorry.
Period.
Right. Cause I
agreed.
So here's the thing. One, I respect HBCU culture. I think HBCUs need to stay around as long as we have racial tension and all that other stuff. HBCUs are so important to the black community in educating blacks. Like the whole premise of why HBCUs were started, like that can never die. So I'm not saying what I'm saying to discredit that at all. But what I am about to say, because I don't even disagree with this statement wholeheartedly, because you cannot emulate HBCU culture. That is a culture that is developed and
I feel like we're not trying to. Like that's where I get.
But some people, I think, and I think it comes from, I think Black letter Greek organizations spearhead this. I think they try to. Some do, not at Kennesaw State.
I feel like not at my university. That's what always confuses me about statements like this. It's like, y'all ain't almost HBCU. I'm like, when the hell did I say? When I don't.
Right.
I think like Sean is saying, it's not necessarily that, and I think that's where the bad rap comes in because people referring to it as an institution within itself, but really these behaviors are happening by your D9 Greeks that are putting these on at the school. Like it's.
But what's the behavior? That's all confusing. Like why they can't make cricket?
To me,
it's not saying that. It's not saying that you can't have these things, but it's saying that just because you have these things don't make your homecoming like that one on HBCU.
And I agree.
Because you got fish. I
agree. But that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm like, I agree with that. Like it doesn't. Like what's the?
You know what? Because I have to leave in a little bit. Here's what I will say. I think that there are people who are attending PWIs who are perpetuating that. Like I've literally I had to unfollow somebody on freaking social media. She was doing the most. Like we could be at HBCU if we want to. I go to the University of Hartford. Blah blah blah. I'm like, girl, you gotta know that people died at Morehouse. Part of the Civil War was fought on Morehouse's campus. Don't ever disrespect my HBCU like that.
Right.
Like literally, like back in the day, they used to pledge Morehouse dudes.
Yeah.
Literally, if you want to be a Morehouse man, they take you in the woods saying, I got my brother's back, and beat the hell out of you.
Right.
So there's a certain historical context that's affiliated with it. We're not doing it for show. We're doing it because this is the life that we live.
Right.
So it's not the fact that it's an issue that people are creating their own culture. It's people who are trying to emulate a culture that already exists and then trying to kind of like shit on it. Like they're like, oh, this girl's like, oh.
I agree with that.
Yo, I saw actually the most ridiculous tweet. This dude was like, oh, something about FAMU. FAMU was created by white people. Can UCLA be a HBCU? What? Like, why would you even say that?
Here's because here's my thing. Like, because I don't disagree with the statement. I just disagree with the environment that it creates. Because I feel like it pits black people
against each other.
I feel like it helps marginalize us further. And it helps divide us
But
further.
we do that to ourselves because you have black people who say they don't go to a HBCU because it's dirty and it's nasty.
Yeah, that is true.
You have those things. Like a guy on Instagram was talking the other day, like, he was like, why y'all don't let us, he said something about why y'all don't let FSU come over there with y'all or something like that. Like, nigga, y'all be on the set every Friday. Like, ain't nobody keeping you from being, you chose to go over there with it. Like, well, I was gonna go to FAMU, but what nigga you did it. So don't be mad at me because we ain't going over there. Ain't shit over there for us. You coming over here because this is where your people at. And I tell y'all all the time, like, y'all always, you people go to these PWIs, but you stay with what you know. You going to a PWI, but you stay with the black people.
No, but real talk,
you know what I'm saying?
And to piggyback off that, the reason why HBCUs are so special and black people get so offended is because it's a safe space for you to actually be yourself.
To be black.
There's no other place that you could be, like, actually be yourself.
Exactly.
Like, honestly, as much as, like, someone, like, you know, my best friend, he's Mr. HBCU, he's also, like, gay, right? As much as people complain about, like, oh, you know, there's no space for, like, black gay people. At Morehouse, they are themselves. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah,
they are themselves. And Morehouse can do whatever they want to try to hinder them. They don't give a fuck. They are themselves.
You unapologetically yourself. And that's the thing, like, I tell y'all will tell me how they got Bugger, Black UGA, Black GSU. Why the fuck do I want to go to school where I gotta isolate myself and call me Black GSU and have a graduation with all the black kids? Because the white kids ain't gonna appreciate me the way I got to when I can just go.
And I'm gonna be real though.
And appreciate my culture.
I spent some of my when I was a senior in high school. And I'm sorry, y'all. I'm really trying to hurry up here. But when I was a senior in high school, I spent some time at Wesleyan University, which is where my brother went to college. So there was, like, you know, a lot of white kids. But I did notice this. In schools, when they're, like, PWIs and not as many black kids, the black community is very, very, very tight.
Because you gravitate to what you know.
I'm not going to lie.
I'm going to say right now,
they were a
community. Black
community.
community, whack. Whack.
Really?
I'm just telling you right now, that shit was whack. I was not a fan of the human black community. I have plenty of black friends at University of Miami, but as far as their black community, I just thought
as a unit.
I thought it was whack. I thought that it was nothing compared to what anything of an HBCU could ever be like. Yeah. I thought it was.
Yeah, I think.
And I think I didn't just have black friends. I gravitated to black people just because I'm black. But like I have a best friend I have two best friends that are white women, but it's like that wasn't like my preference. Like when I got to UM, I wasn't like, oh, let me go follow the black people.
Right.
It's just
which I don't think anybody makes a conscious decision like I'm gonna go to this PWI, but I'm only gonna hang with the black people.
No, some people do.
I think maybe some people do, but I think it's just a natural concept. Same way with when you go to college, it may be somebody who went to your high school that y'all ain't really kicking with each other like that. Y'all ain't really know each other like that. But when you got to college, you had something in common, so you automatically clicked until you found yourself and you found your own.
Yeah,
you know
but I feel like you're gonna do that
I think
anyway.
it's like one of those things, but.
Cause at a black, like even at UM, it was a whole black community, but I didn't mess with all the black people. Just like at SBC, you don't mess with all the people that go to your school. You find your people within your school.
And you're not gonna ride with all of them. But my thing in it is like I always felt the way about the black GSU, the black UGA, and all of that stuff. Like because you had to do these things, or not necessarily you, but these things were created at your school because even though it was a PWI and black people were accepted, you still weren't accepted. So, do you understand what I'm saying?
I think what's very interesting about this conversation is that it's really important for us as a people, right, to allow each other to make decisions that aren't stereotypically or aren't like what we. Not stereotypically, but like what we
think we should
do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have a choice to go to these institutions. We have a choice to exist how we do at these institutions. And I think with statements like this, it further divides
Right.
and adds tension to that choice.
Because I feel like it's like putting words in people's mouths from a select group of individuals at both of these.
And granted, people are doing crazy shit, but I mean, a lot of what happens at these homecoming tailgates is just the black experience. You go to a family reunion,
and then you gonna have the same
that is real.
And so
that's real.
But
like
it makes it feel like that because that experience of the HBCU is that of a family.
Right.
Yeah.
Why your black
from.
friends at a PWI can't be that of a family? Like
Right.
why your experience can't be
It's
a
not.
familial
It's not necessarily
think-
even saying that, but it's still isolated. Do you not get what I'm saying? But it's still isolated. It's the black people that's on the grill eating the fish and the chicken. It's not that of the
But
university.
at FAMU, it's all the black people is still eating the fish and the chicken. Like that's what I'm
But
saying.
that's because everybody is that. So we're not
But that's because
isolating
that's a black
ourselves.
culture.
Right, we're not
But
isolating
that's-
ourselves from one another. So I feel like what it's saying is that just because y'all little group of black people is doing it, don't make it one of the HBCU experience.
But it's not of an HBCU. It's the black.
The black
experience.
experience.
That's what I'm trying to get.
I actually have two things because I'm sort of playing both sides of the fence because I'm like I said earlier, Georgia stigmas are very close. So I've road tripped and just experienced like a lot of AUCs being only 20 minutes from Atlanta, all that other stuff, and just being so close with my brothers from HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like one point I want to address. I completely agree with you, Danielle, because I shut it down at my school because, you know, when people are trying to emulate Set Friday or Market Friday and all those things of HBCU culture, that stuff has history. Like, it's the reason how that stuff came to be. And, you know, with me serving as first vice president for NPAC and me knowing, like, my brothers in the context behind those things, even those are like social things of the experience at HBCU. But they were like, oh, we need to bring culture to this campus. We need to do this. We need to do that. And I was like, what? Like, I was like, we're not at HBCU. I was like, one, we can't even do that shit like that because these white people about to shut the shit down. So that's one.
That was
Two,
another thing. Yeah.
I was like, there, and I even had to explain to them when it even came to like starting the conversation about bringing plots onto the campus because I was like, all this stuff has a reasoning.
A purpose
A
that's
purpose.
been here for years and years and years.
And you need to understand that purpose. So you just seeing the
aesthetic.
I was like, that's not okay. And I was like, we don't need to do that. I was like, we can figure out what we're gonna do here to help create an experience for the black community, which is how I jump into my next point of why it's important for black students or people of color to attend PWIs. But we need to figure out what we need to do here to create an environment where it's okay for us to, you know, to be us. And segueing into my next point, just as I said, it's super important for HBCUs and that history to stay around and forever be lifted. But I feel like the black experience at a PWI is just as needed because there's a reason why we recognize, you know, the first black woman at the University of Alabama. There's a reason why we recognize people of color who have made themselves relevant and successful in places where they were never welcome.
Yep.
That is just as important. I feel like that is so important, and it's the reason why, you know, HBCU grads, they go to Ivy Leagues, they go work at Fortune 500 companies. They go exist in spaces where there is so much validity in that experience because you are out here changing the way and paving the way for people. Right. And for me, I can only speak for Kennesaw State. I can't speak for none of these other folks and what they're doing at their other school. But I know I set a tone when it came to my school. I was an RA where majority of my colleagues were white. You know, I worked in sports and recreation where I was really the only black boy.
You weren't afraid to get outside.
Right.
The comfort.
And I broke down barriers.
Broke the barriers.
I broke barriers.
But for so many people that look like us, it's a comfortable thing.
Right.
That's
But
an
that's why I
uncomfortable
feel like
thing
some
to
of the
do.
trailblazers do need to be in the PWIs. Like,
I think I agree with the statement in breaking the barriers and changing some of the avenues that people look at the PWIs, which I know I'm always gonna support my HBCU.
No, I got
I'm
you.
here for the HBCU experience for undergrad. I will go because I'm probably going to a PWI for grad school. Simply, oftentimes, HBCU names for whatever reason don't tend to hold as much weight in certain
in corporate,
certain
Mhm.
corporate
Mhm.
or just in
Environments.
environments, period, as PWIs do. But I really wanted to get that HBCU experience and really find myself in my people, in my culture.
Yeah.
And, you know, being surrounded by people that truly I felt like cared about me. Like when you on an HBCU campus, you're a little freshman, you look lost, somebody gonna stop you and say, hey, what are you looking for? You look lost.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas I've had conversations with my boyfriend where it wasn't like that for him. Where being in the architecture field out here at Kennesaw State and people are trying to tear each other things up, trying to tear each other down, trying to ruin people's projects so they can get on top. Whereas at my HBCU, you said you needed an answer number 6.
Yeah.
Let me see you the test. I took it already. Like, you know what I'm saying? Granted,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But, or, you know what I mean? You need help with it. You need to know
ain't nobody
that
trying to like kick you down.
it's that, right,
Yeah.
it's that culture where everybody, we all trying to get out here. Granted, some people get stuck.
Yeah.
That's the other downside of HBCU. People get so stuck
It's like
in
that
that,
peak.
in that
it's like-
comfortability, in that. I say all the time, I be seeing people at the set Friday, like, what did you do here? Didn't you graduate 2 years ago? You don't got no job?
But that's,
You
they
know
feel
what I'm saying?
good.
But it's comfortable
Yeah.
because it is that family experience, and you done been around for 20 years, so everybody know you.
And
You know what I'm
honestly, it's
saying?
almost like two extremes because there's always a certain level of uncomfortability at PWIs. And honestly, I feel like being black at either one, there are things you can take away from it that create an environment for success. Because I didn't really get that sense of family coming in first. Like I said, I was very alone. Even when I joined KK Psi and chartered that chapter, like I was still very alone. I didn't really find my group of people till I joined Phi Beta Sigma. And that's just point blank, period.
Yeah.
But on the other side, me being uncomfortable, me being by my damn self, I was like, oh shit.
You learned a lot about yourself.
I learned a lot about myself.
And how
I
to
learned
navigate those avenues.
right. I learned how to
Yeah.
exist, and I feel like you know
how to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
right.
Yeah.
And I just feel like in this world that we live in today, and it probably just runs deeper for me, since I do identify as something other than straight, that I have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just adding another layer to it, like I have to be able to exist in. You living in the world that we live in today. Once you graduate and be outside of an HBCU or the black community of the PWI or the people in my organization, you are faced with motherfuckers who do not want you to succeed.
Yeah.
And that's in general, but add your skin color to it, add your sexuality to it. People just don't want you to be successful. So being uncomfortable, that causes growth and for you to be able to deal with it. And on the flip side of it, being HBCU family, people do not make it through PWIs sometimes.
Yeah.
Because the shit is hard, it's tough, and just dealing with those situations.
But the thing is, my mom always said, you got all your life to deal with white people. So
right.
why not
go to a place where you
and that's real.
I saw that you have all your life to be a minority. Why not go to a place for a couple years we can be the majority?
Yeah. And
that's
I get
real.
it. And I get it. And even for me, like, my top 2 choices when I was going to school was either Hampton or University of Miami, like once I got my scholarship. And when I was looking at Hampton, I was like, I would go to Hampton. Like, I don't have a problem going to Hampton. And it literally just came down to what my major was at the time, which was computer engineering.
And that's a huge factor, too.
And Hampton didn't have computer engineering at the time, so that was just like, okay, well.
Because that was actually a huge thing for me, because
not having your major.
FAMU actually didn't have my major.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would I? That's honestly what it came down to at the end of the day, and what made my decision for Kennesaw, because Kennesaw was actually my number 2 underneath FAMU. But after like the scholarship thing, me and my mom just
I did not want to go to Georgia Southern.
Jesus Christ. But after dealing with the scholarship stuff, I was like, damn, they don't even have my major anyway. So I would get down here and do what?
Yeah.
That would not create
And
an
granted, your
environment.
major could change because my major ended up changing.
Right.
anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
Mine
fair.
too.
But when you
Right.
make your
But
decisions as like a
you looking for your
17-year-old,
major.
you're just trying to check off all the boxes.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
right.
yes,
And it does it's complicated. It does get complicated in those spaces. Like we don't have a lot of things, or even people now are picking schools based off the aesthetics. What it look like, what the dorm look like.
Yeah.
I don't want no community bathroom, which I want to be. I ain't want that. Luckily, my school had just built a brand new facility in my
I was
year.
definitely in a community bathroom.
But you know what I'm saying? But we also lose sight of why these colleges and these universities came to be.
Yeah.
You get so much more community in those community, those
Right.
traditional styles of living. Even like you talking about the set and the traditions and behind the set. That was a place when FAMU was created in 1887. That's a place where all of the black kids can get together in a safe place in Tallahassee where these people don't want us. I learned in one of my sociology classes, I don't even know it was relevant. The girls had curfews. They had curfews and they had to go back to their room because white men was driving through the set, snatching them off the set. And riding off with them. You know what I'm saying? Like things like these that we have gone through. FAMU was a place. The way we got FAMU is because the white folks didn't want it because it was infested with rattlesnakes. That's how the rattler came. It was infested with rattlesnakes. They had a built Florida State. They said, well, we got what we want. We can't do nothing with that over there. Y'all take that. Y'all said y'all wanted something here. Take that. So even with the school's creation, even with things being built on it, several people died in just trying to even build the institution because you getting bit by a snake.
And that's
you know what I'm saying?
That is influential in development when it comes to
Exactly.
getting an education. Like I feel like there are things that you can grasp from both. Because I will never let anybody take my experience from Kennesaw away from me. Because that
as you should not.
it
Because
made
it molded
me
you as
right.
who
you are.
Yeah.
And I consider myself like a very successful individual. So
Yeah.
I just really want. It's people on both sides.
It's two-
honestly,
it's two sides to the
it's
coin.
people on both sides. It's people who make statements like what we were talking about earlier. And granted, you know, people can
Who
talk
try
how
to
they
pitch
want.
us against
Right,
each other.
but it's like we don't like. At the end of the day, we black folks getting educated. Like, why is that even a problem? Like, I'm not saying that that's what people do, but I feel like that's what it comes to at the end of the day. Like, we're marginalizing ourselves and we don't even realize it. And there's validity in both. And I just want people to understand that it's a balance. Like,
I think when it comes to that, people just have to really think about the reasons that they sometimes chose the PWI or they chose the HBCU. Because like I said, you have those people who say they didn't go to HBCU because of how it looked, because of the aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? Because of all these things. That does that really matter? Was you just trying to get an education, or did you want to be able to say that you go to this
right?
Because you get it. You tell people oftentimes what school you go to, and I might say FAMU, and they're like, oh, okay. Then somebody might say, he'll go around and he'll say, oh, I go to Kennesaw. They're like, oh, okay, Kennesaw.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, especially talking to white people, because you have no idea what I'm talking about. You have no idea what
they don't have
is.
a clue what HBCU
You know what I'm saying?
It's
You
so
have no
crazy how like
idea.
oblivious
They're
they
so
are.
oblivious.
And when we
So
say
much.
things like
Makes absolutely no
HBCU,
sense.
you think that we're separating ourselves from you.
Yeah.
Just like the Black Lives Matter, but we're not. You separated.
We have to.
You
We have to
separated us
separate
from
us.
you, which is how we were. How we were
But I think
created.
that's if you feel like it, that's a moment to educate them. But a lot of times, I don't even fucking feel like educating.
I ain't trying to talk to them.
You
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But even within the black community, just talking about those things, I feel like
And-
you need to give me a reason. You went to Florida State because they had your major. I'm here for following the money, honey. Because we can't afford school. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They gave you the most money, but you wanted to go to HBCU, but family won't give you enough money, but you still want to be around, so you went to Florida State. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you come over here on Saturday, Friday, come on in.
Right.
Y'all always over here at our stuff. We not going over there because
Y'all just don't feel welcome.
it's like, because whereas the black student union might be putting on, so like it was an issue that just happened where Florida State has something called Market Wednesdays, which is kind of emulation of Set Fridays, right? And so it was an event which come to find out, one of the deltas at Florida State put on, and they was feeling some type of thing because one of my losses had tweeted, which we had no idea who put on the damn event. It was a conversation of the university culturally appropriated something that we created.
Right.
Which, okay, well, we didn't even know that a member of the Black Student Union created it, which, okay, they still don't change the way that we feel. That you're trying to
Yeah.
take this tradition of this
you have
HBCU to put on the PWI because you
But
don't
it's
have
just,
it.
what I realized is that a lot of the even black students at these PWIs just be oblivious to HBCU culture.
A
The
lot
only
of
reason
them.
that I really understand HBCUs and the culture is because my mom is a HBCU advocate.
Period.
She
Love
just
that
came
type of-
back from Jackson State University homecoming. She be there all the time, so she educated me from a child. But it's a lot of us. It's a lot of black people who just don't know their own culture.
And
when it
Yeah.
comes
I
to
think
that.
that was my next point because I just learned so much through like my organization and like the context behind stuff. But people just need to be educated before they open their
Us,
fucking
black
mouth.
people, we need to be
Us too.
educated.
Yeah, like
Our issue is a generational curse.
they
Yeah.
just cause like statements like that is like or like not just piggybacking or dick riding this statement because I've just seen multiple of it, but like literally the first Black Letter Greek organization was founded at a damn PWI. Like before you open your mouth and make statements, think about it, because it was a Q who made that comment. I was like, oh, okay. And I don't even care. Like, I really don't care about the comments. I don't even get involved. But it's just like people really need to be educated
Yeah.
before they open their mouth, because there's a reason why black students, and we recognize black students who are doing well at PWIs, because you're existing in a space that technically you're not even supposed to be in. So I'm all for both, honestly.
Black excellence. We are pro black excellence.
I think that most people know that D9 organizations to be created at Howard, so that's why we get it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Know your history,
Well, you
motherfuckers.
also got to know why these
Were
black
founded.
men- why they were founded and why it was created there, because they had theirs
existing.
and we didn't have anything. So we said, let's make something for us,
And-
where we can make a change and we can make a difference.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
And
it's a lot of
literally even reading about like the Kappas and like how they were existing at Indiana University, like they were existing in a white damn space. They had to get their damn
Yeah,
education.
them alphas at Cornell, a whole ass Ivy
Literally,
League.
the fraternities, bro.
Right. And I mean, it's important to be educated, just period.
Yeah.
Before
You know,
this
to
is
just
going-
Yeah.
to just know, because
But
I get it.
I get both sides.
I get it.
I get both
I think
sides.
the conversations have to be had.
Yes, they do have.
Yeah,
to
and they have to be had at an early age. You can't
Yeah.
wait till these kids till we 17, 18, choosing a college to try to rewrite the way people have grown up to think about certain institutions.
Yeah.
Because I think we just lived it. Like we were, all of our band directors were HBCU grads. We had parents who were successful, but
Yep.
had a diversity of experiences.
Because Ms. Young definitely went to Morris Brown.
Right, and like
she
my
went to
mom,
CZ.
Ms. Young?
Yeah.
getting
She
her
went to Florida
master's.
State, too, when it was all girls
Right.
school.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Ooh.
But we were educated at the end of the day, and that's how we all made our decisions when it came to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
at the end of the day, we were just educated.
Well, I will say that my choice in school was completely cultural based. when
that's
I
fine.
went
fair, though.
when I went to before the fact, when I initially went down there for my siblings orientation, I was immediately sold on the culture because I had never stepped foot in the classroom. You know what I'm saying? I was immediately sold on the culture of the school, because for me, culture anywhere in the workplace, anywhere for me is a huge part of success.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge part of success.
Right.
If you feel like you are somewhere where nobody cared, like in a space that you can't succeed, then naturally, typically you won't succeed. It'll be harder for you
Right.
to succeed. So after that, then I looked into, okay, now let me figure out what I want to do with my life. Okay, oh yeah, they got that too.
And
Perfect,
that's
another
real,
check,
Danielle.
You know,
Because if I would have had that experience, I probably would have still went to FAMU.
should have came on.
But the fact that why
And same, like I feel like
I
my
be
experience
just
is
because
really
I root for
different.
HBCUs all the time. I actually want to work in higher education at an HBCU because I want our people I want to foster an experience or a collegiate experience for Black people to be successful.
It sparks some change.
Right. And literally, I'm just like, if I had a horrible experience with an HBCU,
Yeah.
like, And not on top of that, I'm not gonna talk about that. But that's tea that I was about to drop.
What was you about to get on?
I was about to get on that man.
Oh Lord, we'll talk offline.
But, no, but like HBCUs just have to do better in some instances.
I agree.
If they're going
Especially
to
in their
survive.
recruiting efforts of us. Because even in NCAT, I had a full ride to NCAT, and that was before I got engaged, anything, and I was struggling, y'all. I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go to school. I don't have no money to go to school. Almost had a full ride to NCAT. They came back with a letter and was like, oh, your unweighted GPA didn't meet the requirement. My unweighted GPA was above the requirement. Somebody in the office made a mistake, and they were like, oh, well, we already gave the money away. So I was like,
that
cool.
I mean, it's a lot of aspects, specifically in the administrative realm of HBCUs that need to be changed. One of the things that we struggle with is our systems are dated. The technology and the systems that we use are dated. But the other side of that is we ain't got no money.
And
you know what I mean?
That's
Black
true
people
too.
graduate from HBCUs and don't typically give back. Or if they give back to the college or school that bred them, not to the entire university.
And what's crazy is, because I actually interviewed for Clark Atlanta, but
too high. I got into there too much.
I interviewed for a housing position for that university, and what really bothered me about it, because I talked to my colleague who's a Bethune-Cookman graduate, works in the same profession from me, and girl, if you gonna go on somewhere, but I was like, I talked through my experience, and like I felt like I was very qualified for the job, but I was like, do you think they didn't hire me because I came from a PWI? He was like, possibly. Yeah, possibly. Because I was like, because I asked him, I was like, do HBCUs only hire people from HBCUs? And I'm like, he's like, yeah, that
tends to be the case.
It's
right.
possible. Which I don't necessarily disagree with, though. I'm not gonna lie.
And that's fair because you want to protect the tradition. I completely understand that.
You want to feel like you're hiring people for the school that understand the school, that are rooted deeply into the school. So I can't say that I necessarily disagree with it.
Yeah.
But I also don't think hiring a person from an HBCU that's less qualified than somebody that's from a PWI. I don't agree with. If the person is more qualified, then the person is more qualified. If you have a qualified person and they from an HBCU, okay, check.
Yeah.
But if that other person is more qualified, then I need a person that's.
But I just feel like it discredited me in the process. And I don't feel like that's fair to me. Because I want to.
It is, and it does suck in a sense, but it happens on the other side.
That's real.
It happens on
the flip side. Because it's like, you graduate from an HBCU, why would I hire you?
Yeah, it happens on
that's
the other
fair.
Because that name, when you see fam, you go across your desk, you like, people think that all the time. Black people think that all the time. You only need a 2.5 to get in FAMU.
Yeah, they see A&M.
You only need a 2.5 to get in FAMU.
They only looking at numbers. They don't give a damn about the experience.
You're right.
I mean,
you only did need a 2.5 to get in FAMU, but what I always tell people is that most HBCUs is about a 2.5. But what HBCUs are doing is sparking a chance for people to have a second chance.
Yep.
People who maybe come from places at high school where education or their home life where education was not important.
Exactly.
So you BS'd in high school, but you said, wait a minute. I want to try to get out of here. I want to try something else.
Right,
but you had BS in high school, but nowhere else. Them PWI's not going to take you.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because you look like you ain't about nothing, you ain't done nothing, and your name Jaquan. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So let me give this person that second chance to go to school and do something just because they messed up.
And that's crazy that I hear, because, I don't know, maybe it's just me knowing what I know, but like, the conversation that I've had, just in like my professional experience so far, with names like Howard, FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, like Morehouse, Spelman, like those are some of the better HBCUs in my opinion, or like some of the
no words.
But the ones you're gonna hear are the ones who get in that dough.
I mean, those
that
are
was another argument.
So I haven't seen
the Prairie Views or the
you ain't gonna hear too much about that.
Kentucky State.
That's because they're not necessarily on the map for other reasons. FAMU was on the map because of the 100.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people know what FAMU is because of the 100.
I
not
haven't
because of the
seen
education that you'll get at FAMU.
I haven't seen that discredit of like, though, like when people talk, maybe because I'm in a black circle, maybe that's, I don't know.
Yeah, and they may be more privy to it, but when you're talking about those HBCUs,
In the
it was a
grand
conversation
scheme.
they were just having. It's so funny, they were just having on Instagram when people were saying, dang, Morehouse and Spelman always getting all the money. What about the rest of us? Because these are considered to be the most pristine
And
of the
Howard,
HBCUs, even though they in Howard, even though they sit in the middle of the hood, and you might get shot up on the way there. They give girls rape whistles. At Spelman, you get rape whistles when you come in as a freshman.
In the West End,
You
sipping
know
on
what I'm
makeup
saying?
oil, nothing.
However, these are considered to be the more pristine HBCUs. So those are the names you hear. When you hear Spelman, when you hear Morehouse, you think pristine. But I'm not gonna just put it on the people. It's because they have changed the narrative of what it means to go to an HBCU. That's one of the things that my person was trying to do at my elementary school. Now
Elaborate.
it's changed the narrative of what it means. When you think of a Morehouse man, you think of a man in a suit and tie.
In a suit and tie, yes, ma'am.
You think of a man, you know what I mean? You think of a man in a suit and tie about his business.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And those are those. So when people hear of a Morehouse man,
It's a
they
brand.
see,
It's like a
their
brand.
brand.
It is a brand.
It's their
That's
brand.
exactly
That's
what
what you
it
think
is.
of. You don't see the raggedy rundown school over there in the middle of the West End. You think of a Morehouse man.
You think how
Suit,
they
tie,
get money,
nice
how they
and
drive in the
pristine.
Beamer when they
Yeah.
graduate.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Morehouse School of Medicine. These are things that you think of when you hear those. Now, fam, you had such a negative connotation. You gonna think of that and think about the school that killed the boy.
That's exactly
go down
what
there and
people
get your ass
think.
beat.
That's the school that killed the boy. Or FAMU is a party. You don't know how many times I hear people say, "Oh, FAMU, that's that party school. You ain't gonna." And I've heard people who went to FAMU say, "I had to come home. I wasn't gonna last. I having too much fun." You know, but that
I feel
has
the same way about Miami.
but
though.
that has nothing to do with the university and everything to do with you and your moral values.
Oh, 4-year college is a party school.
I had a
Unless you
blast.
go to a period
Y'all all the way
Right.
to y'all parents.
I had a blast at FAMU. I thoroughly enjoyed my time
But
at
you did.
FAMU,
You
but
did
I
what you
did
did.
what I had to do. I didn't forget why I came there, so they had nothing
Because
to do
it's
with
in
the
you,
university
it's not
and
on you.
everything to
That's-
do right and everything to do with my moral values and knowing that I was trying to get out.
Yep.
I didn't want to get stuck at FAMU. I saw it so many times. My line sisters and my friends joke about it all the time. Graduation was December 15th, and yet was out on December 16th. Car packed and out. Because I had fun. That was my time, and then it was over.
Yeah.
I had to leave and move on to the next thing in my life. Even now, it's people who drive down the FAMU for every little thing. Homecoming, coronation, random set Friday.
That's what I
It's
see
time-
with y'all alumni though.
it's
Is
time
that
to go.
y'all don't let it go as much. Cause I feel like PWI when the black people leave, they be like, all right, that was cool.
I'm not gonna say let it go. I don't
say let it go, but y'all
let it go. We
but a lot of
support.
people.
We love and support our HBCU, but it's people who get stuck in Tallahassee.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they
because it's
don't.
comfortable.
There's so many people. I know
And
more
cheap.
people who HBCUs who are there for 6+ years than I do at a PWI.
Because you get comfortable and you can't afford to be at no PWI more than 4 years. Shit,
Our
even
assistant-
you.
I can't afford to be at no
Our
HBCU
assistant man
for
does-
I mean, that's
7 years.
That's true, but PWIs are naturally more expensive. But people do get
They will
stuck
kick you out.
because of that comfortability. And I won't say that's just FAMU. It's like I said, Tallahassee is the experience of Tallahassee is cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You probably find your little job real quick.
A little boo.
You know what I'm saying?
Little
But do you
thing.
feel
I mean,
like that is
I don't think
a bit
that's
of
just-
complacency in that?
There
I don't
can be
think that's
complacency,
just,
but I don't blame that on the university. I blame that on you and your moral value.
Okay.
You know, and that's a huge thing with college towns because Statesboro is the same way. It's like it's very cheap, and what's bringing in the commerce is the university, right? So everything around it is very home for the university. Rent is cheap. You know, everything is accessible, so it makes it easy for somebody to get
To
comfortable and be
live.
like, you know,
Yeah.
actually,
okay.
I don't want to go to school anymore. I just want to live in Statesboro, be away from my family,
Yeah.
be able to tell my
Yeah.
family.
Go to the college.
Yeah, hang
Go
with
to
my
the college
friends.
stuff, right?
Like
Yeah.
you get complacent because
Exactly.
little did I know, furnished apartments don't exist in real life. When I
Hello.
got out of college,
Hello.
like furnished, because you go in school, you get you a nice furnished
Oh, yeah, you be
apartment.
real sad.
My rent was $497 a month.
Hello, got out.
Nice and furnished. You know what I'm saying? You get out of school and what's a furnished apartment?
You
In
paying
your
1200.
parents' basement, like y'all need
Y'all
that.
ain't that right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah,
it's a
empty 1200.
complacency, and it's funny that you say like you said like you feel like people in PWIs typically don't go back, but that's again that sense of
Yeah.
familial, that familiar relationship that
Well,
you
I ain't gonna say
necessarily.
because I be at every homecoming.
But you know what I'm saying? Is that familiar when people and you see people go back to FAMU homecoming in hoops. I mean, people
Yeah.
taking out work
Oh yeah.
to go for the homecoming festivities. You know what I'm saying? People pride in
But
their
that's what I
familiarity.
love about. But that's what I love about y'all culture is that it doesn't die. It's like
It
even like a
doesn't die.
sorority. It's like a lifelong thing.
Now they
But
just
you
gotta
in
get
it.
some money.
Yeah, that's the.
I need
yeah.
y'all to come down there with
But
a check.
I mean, and people do give money, but it's only typically like it's anniversary years. Like, so who just had an anniversary? Oh, 2000, because this would be their almost 20th anniversary or something like that. So that's one thing. The people who had a 5-year, 10-year, they gather their class together and say we gonna donate this much,
Yeah.
and they give back. But like Keon was saying, where'd all that money always be going to? Because where the scholarships? Where it's going? Like,
I mean, and that's why I want to get in there and work, like,
Yeah.
and help fix systems. Like, I'm just tired of black people. Like, we literally have all the tools to be successful and not have to ask them folks for anything.
yeah.
Right.
Except you do.
Yeah.
Because we need their money. If you go to a public
We need
institution,
their power.
if you go to a public institution, then you need them.
Yeah, you need some type of benefit.
You need them because they're investing, even though they may not believe in it. It's gonna bring more money into
To
the
them.
state, so they're
Yep.
gonna put some money into the university.
Yep.
So in a sense, you do need them. But that's why we trying to put these people, like we were trying to get Andrew Gillum in office. That didn't work. Why? Because who was gonna let a black man be the governor of Florida? Who was gonna do that?
Yeah, or Stacey Abrams.
You know
Not
what
the
I'm
state of
saying?
Florida.
You know what I'm saying? So
Stacey was shaking the
So
tables
it's
though.
like-
Andrew was too.
Florida might be worse than Alabama.
So
on
it's
a
like
good day,
we were
so.
hello somebody, but it's like
I
so
thought Florida would have
you
been
wanna-
more blue than.
No, Florida is
Alabama is a little
bumble
hick
man.
town, but
You get that
Florida
little
is
middle
tough.
Florida, you don't know what the hell
It's
you
tough.
got.
Right.
It's tough.
You get-
But you know, you need to try to get
I
these
was
people in
speaking to
office to
somebody.
make these
And it was like,
To
I'm
make
from Miami.
these,
I'm not from Florida.
changes
That's a whole-
to affect those. Because it's like, in a sense, we have some of the tools and things that we need, but we necessarily don't. Like I said, a lot of the things that we have are outdated, or if people
That's
are
fair.
donating, they're
Yeah.
donating to, like, our top donors, the people who get the most scholarships, get the most, is our School of Business and Industries and pharmacy. Because they get
Because
out.
they produce top level
people that get out and you. Our pharmacy program is 6 years. You graduate with a doctor. Off rip, you make it 6 figures. You got something to
So
get
what
back.
are
Shout
your-
out to Reagan.
So what are
You
your
know what I'm
thoughts on?
Right,
Because
it's,
I'm
nursing.
because I'm not sure.
She got the
Oh
edited.
no, it's staying in. Oh wait, no, I can. Yeah, I can edit it. I can edit it.
Jarvis.
Jarvis.
Shout out to
yeah.
Oh yeah, Jarvis
Yeah,
is doing his
shout out
thing
to
though.
Jarvis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, but that's also a very rigorous program. A lot of people don't make it through. In pharmacy, you only can, if you fail 2 classes, you out.
That's like nursing school.
Well, as
You
you
fail
know,
one, you on probation. You get.
You making my medicine, nigga.
I mean, it is, but at the same time, it's rigorous. Like you'll hear people at FAMU always talking about pharmacy is a cult.
Oh yeah.
Pharmacy
Well, it's like
is-
that Xavier too.
Pharmacy
in
is a
Louisiana.
cult. If you in pharmacy, you eat, breathe, live, and sleep. You online for 6 years in pharmacy, like literally, like, and it's hard to try to establish a social life. Like I knew a guy, he was an RA with me. He pledged Sigma. That was his only
Organization.
outlet,
Mhm.
like because he was always on first. I'm like, I used to tell him all the time, like, dude, you gotta have a life. Social aspect of college is still also very important. So where I would see Reagan when she was in there, my nonsense and stuff, you might go to the top flight, but when you get home from top flight at 2, it's opening the books.
And going to class.
It's opening the books and
At
doing
8
that
a.m.
last minute homework and then hitting the classroom because you still have priorities, but you still want to have a good time in school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But these are the people that are producing the money that are giving back. But again, they're giving back to their prospective college or school.
And not
So
just
it's not
giving in
going
general.
into the entire
annual fund
university.
or whatever the case is.
You know what I'm saying? So those are the top donors, and they give back in other ways. Like when we have, what you call the thing where the jobs come, the job fair. And we have all these companies come back, and typically one of the things that I like is most of the time it's someone who is a representative of the HBCU that comes back to the college fair to recruit. In the group, like my line sisters, I got line sisters at Google, at Microsoft, and all these different things who came out of the School of Business and Industries, and they come back into recruit in the job fair. So that's one of the things I like. And bringing someone who's it's a little less intimidating.
Yes.
It's a little less intimidating to come back and give you that kind of have that conversation, but you feel a little less intimidated because it's not a white man that's staring down at you.
Right.
Kind of like, man, they made me come.
So I guess
You know what I'm saying?
a question for you, since Keon had to leave, but what are your thoughts on, because I'm not sure which institutions receive what type of funding from the government or what funding sources look like for HBCUs, but what are your thoughts on like receiving federal grants, federal money?
So the funding, anytime you got a public school, whether it be PWI, HBCU, receiving federal funding.
Right.
And what that means is that when you, anytime, and even in K-12, when you're receiving federal funding, that means there are a list of things that you must do that they want you to do if you want that money.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that means. So when it comes down to grants and things like that.
Because it's FAMU private or public?
Public.
Okay.
FAMU is a public school.
But a lot of Morehouse and them, what are they, private?
I think
They're
Morehouse
private,
and
I
Spelman are
believe.
private.
I believe they're private schools. So they can essentially do what they want when they want and how they want to do it. You know what I mean? And again, because Spelman and Morehouse are considered these pristine universities, they get out, their degree tends to hold a little more weight, they're making a little more money, they're able to give back a little more. And they have pride in their institutions as well, which is another end, because sometimes you have those people who look down on the rest of us.
That's what I was about to say. It's just something like...
I'm just tired. I'm
that's
tired
it.
of folks marginalizing like themselves. Like, why?
Because I feel like
It's
even
a
HBCU
generational
culture,
curse.
like I have a friend who went to Norfolk and they were like, I feel like we don't get the same, you know, like
Respect
as
as
an
a HBCU.
HBCU when it comes to other HBCU alums.
Right, because it's like that Southern HBCU as opposed to
To the
that
Northern
HBCU.
It's still a little different.
And then definitely West Coast. I know they over there like, because ain't it the HBCU with there?
Don't
It's
get
one in Texas, Prairie View.
You got Peri. It's
it
Southern
one
California.
There's a lot of them that you'll never. I be finding out about some of them on HBCU Buzz because I be like, oh, I ain't never heard of that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know
But that's how I feel about
Winston-Salem
those people,
University.
like Miles
But
College.
I see that they still have a lot of pride in their schools and universities, whereas they might not get as much recognition as they should. But again, these other HBCUs that are getting recognition, like I keep saying, FAMU gets a lot of originally was getting a lot of recognition
For
because
the
of the
band.
100,
Yeah.
because
And
of the
people were donating
entertainment
towards
aspect
that.
of the 100. Spelman and Morehouse, I guess, always kind of had this pristine nature about itself. People, the most
MLK.
the most
Martin
the most
Luther King.
the most what you call like decorated officials like to go back there.
Yeah.
The Oprahs, the Michelle Obama.
Which is
the,
interesting
you know
because
what I'm
Oprah
saying?
graduated from Tennessee State.
Right, but I ain't never heard nothing about that. But
I mean,
but you know,
Child.
maybe she get to the broadcast program. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
she make it. I'm not gonna say what Oprah don't do, and you
And
can't
that's
tell these people how to
crazy.
spend their money.
Because I think one of their
But-
residential halls just played.
But again, it's a marketing thing. It's like Keon was saying. I want to.
Oprah came from your school? I'm
I
sorry.
want to give the school some money. I know. That's how it is.
And I'm
Most
sitting
folks
here
didn't know that Oprah came from TSU.
and I'm talking about, I'm in here walking through puddles of water.
Yeah.
And Oprah graduated from
I'm
here.
like, get Oprah on the phone.
Right.
Somebody get
Right.
Oprah on the phone.
So those are the things that
Oprah!
we need more funding. We definitely need more funding because we don't have it to they just renovated our cab, the top cab. They keep putting these damn signs up in front of the building. It's like, okay, we was fine without the signs. Give me some coins.
Because what
You know?
were we talking about last episode when we were like, we're owed a debt as like a people?
Absolutely.
It should be free for all black people. That is easy reparations.
Reparations, yes.
Because our 400 years is up. But you know, it's this new presidential candidate. He Asian. And he
I
trying to
like
get-
some of the stuff you were saying.
He trying to get the people's $1,000 a month now.
Yep.
Come on.
I'm here for the $1,000 a
I'm
month.
trying to see how
Now
it's gonna work.
what Lonnie was saying, because he was on the real. Y'all know I love the real.
I saw that.
You saw that?
He was on the real.
He was on the real.
They been
So he
having
was
all
saying-
presidential candidates.
They do. They get, you know, the real. we
Yeah,
get
the real is good. The real is
But
good.
and they always they try not to show their political views.
But you can tell they be like.
But so Lonnie was saying, what a lot of people were saying was that it's because people say it's against the law. How you gonna do that? It's against the law to use those funds. And what he was saying was, because he's already started giving $1,000 a month. He said he gives that out of his own pocket. But one of the things that he was saying was, he said, how is it against the law? If I'm using campaign money, they said you're not supposed to use it for personal use. But he said it's not for personal use. If I'm using campaign money to pay this corporation to brand my business, or I'm using this personal money to pay these foot peddlers to go out, using this money to pay these foot peddlers to go out and from door to door, why I can't give it back to the people
who
should
needed it
already
the
be
most,
for.
right?
Why not? He said it's an
That
old
shit
age
so-
idea. He said he didn't come up with it. Martin Luther King did.
Mm.
He said it was a.
Yes,
something that Martin Luther King.
research.
I love Andrew now. He got a story.
Something that he originally, and they asked him. They said, so
He
what
got
if
a
you didn't?
story.
They said, what if the thing went and you didn't get picked as president, but they wanted you to vice president? He said, cool then. He said, he said, to be honest with you, I never had a lifelong dream of being a president. Never did.
That's real.
He
That's
said-
the realest statement
Yeah,
of the
he
year.
said, I never had a lifelong dream of being a president. I always just wanted to create change.
Make a difference.
I always wanted to create change. So if that's as a president, as a vice president, if I'm a speaker in the House, if I'm able to create the change, then that's what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So you have those things where people are trying to get certain things in place and implemented for that of the people, which these white people already. Oh my God, yeah, I'm sorry. Side note. Y'all watch Red Table Talk?
No, you
I watch
I didn't
clips.
catch
I
up.
watch clips.
Okay, so they had what's her name? Little white lady comedian. Anyway, she was on Red Table Talk. She was doing a series on white privilege.
Oh, Chelsea.
You
Handler.
Chelsea Handler.
That damn.
On
film
white
was
privilege,
funny.
and she was going around asking different people, asking white people,
It's
do
on
they
Netflix.
believe
It's
in
on
white
Netflix,
privilege?
yeah.
Yeah, so they had the clips in the Red Table Talk, and it was like, do they believe in white privilege?
And white
And
people
some of
are-
they, really confused as to what it even is. Like I believe everybody got the same privilege. Everybody had the same privilege as I do. I got where I am.
Yep,
'cause
it was.
I'm
ridiculous.
working hard.
Yeah.
Like, because I worked hard. Everybody has the same privilege. And she is really, like, beating them, like, so you don't think. So you don't
as
think,
a white woman, she's
as
like
a white
asking
woman,
them,
you don't
yeah.
have no privilege. So you don't think that if a little black girl and y'all went into the same place, that
Y'all be treated the
y'all
same.
be treated the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and me and Reggie talk about it all the time because white people love to want to be black, so they got to be black.
Yeah.
Damn.
White people
Okay,
love-
for the police.
White people love black culture. They love black culture, but don't want to be treated.
Yeah, Chelsea
Black.
got all her dirty laundry out.
But don't want to
Is
be.
she really?
Yes.
Don't want to be treated black, and I wonder if, like, do y'all see that in the PWI, to bring it back? Do y'all see that in the PWI community of the cultural appropriation from the whites, or do they just?
No, they act like themselves.
I mean-
white people act like
I mean, not
I
even just
just say-
acting, but you listen to all the black music, you bob your head.
Oh, yeah.
You know the
And I mean, it's
song.
very funny, and this is kind of how I need to drag Southern, because there was an incident recently, and it's caught on some news
Yeah, it's
outlets,
like
but there was
national news,
a incident recently where some students were reading a book for their freshman or first year experience class, FYE, and it's a required class in order for you to even
We had that.
get through the shits. And so there was this class about this Latinx woman who was basically talking about her experience, right? And they invited the author of the book for the class to speak on campus. And there was this huge, like, protest, and I don't know all the details, but there was this protest about her coming, and basically, like, the white people were feeling some type of way about the fact that she was coming to talk about her experience. And it was about how white people basically, what's the word? They get advantages because of their privilege and shit like that. And so one of the things that people did to react was they did like a bonfire of the book, and they were like burning
burned
copies of the book
Yeah, so
on I think it was Centennial Place, either Centennial Place or Eagle Village, which is one of our residence halls, like in like.
the
a
grill,
grill.
the outside grill.
And they were just all like talking about it and just talking all this reckless shit.
They didn't want the Latin woman to come.
Right, they didn't want the Latin woman to come, or she had already came.
They didn't think that she had the
And-
credentials to speak to them about white privilege.
Right.
And pretty much they were. And one of the girls' words, she was basically like, I just don't understand how you are qualified to speak about this.
Cause
to us.
I'm a fucking
I
minority
exist
nigga.
in this space, girl.
The fuck?
And so
White people.
it's
The
funny
audacity
because-
of the caucasity. I'm telling you.
because it's crazy.
Like, they're
because-
not qualified to tell me how I oppress
She
you.
literally
But I'm
said
sure-
that in a group of
I'm
people.
sure-
Yeah.
Because those girls that I saw in the clip that I was looking at, they look like girls I would pass every day on the pedestrian walking to class. You know, they had on the leggings and the
oversized
Georgia Southern
Jesus
t-shirt
Christ. And some
Their
chocolate.
uniform.
And I'm sure they listened to
They
Lizzo.
love
With your running shorts and the oversized t-shirt,
some-
and you can't see the running
or
shorts.
some
Right,
Nike
but listen
tennis
to all
shoes.
I
They I'm sure
at
listen
all
to
concerts until they got
Lizzo
look
and
like-
to Migos, but as soon as they get on the opposite end of things, they want to retract. And Chelsea Handler hit on that. Spoiler alert: she hit on that in her documentary, where basically she had a drug dealer boyfriend, and the boyfriend would get in trouble
The
with
black
everything.
boy, yeah,
He was
yeah.
a black boy. He would get in trouble, and they would always let Chelsea go. And
Yeah,
it'd be like, you know,
talk
it was like
about
a
that.
slap on her wrist, essentially.
And she
that,
never paid attention to
And she
it.
never
She
paid
never
attention
paid-
to
which
it.
is
That
so
was that.
crazy to me.
That was that I thought I had a good personality.
Yeah, she said I thought I had a good personality, and this man,
It's so crazy.
he just got out of
She was
prison.
so
Yes.
She was
And-
so serious too.
And he had served 14 years in prison for armed robbery. No, his mother was a crackhead, and then he became a crackhead, and it was like he came from this environment of just toxic behaviors, right? And she, being this privileged Jewish woman, you know, and doing a lot of her early stand-up was about her being Jew and disadvantaged as a Jew, but she dated this black man that just served 14 years in prison while her ass is out here building a career, making people laugh.
Yeah.
And so it's like there is that disconnect.
And she
Yep.
said I wouldn't be able to. She said if I was a black
Yeah.
woman, half the shit I said I would not get away with.
Yeah.
And I used to
And-
watch that little Chelsea Lately show. She had it on the E channel.
And like Chelsea is funny. She's really funny, and I feel like she is aware, right? And I'm so
I
glad
feel
that
like
she
she
did
just
this.
became aware because I remember watching Chelsea Lately.
Yeah,
and
she
being
was-
like-
She was on.
She
a-
wasn't aware. I think she just really started to become aware
Yeah.
of the behaviors and how.
But it's just
but I
so
applaud
crazy.
her for
Taking-
acknowledging it, taking the ownership of it, and educating others.
And
on
if
it.
And educating her own people. 'Cause
Yes.
y'all keep educating. We've been
But y'all
educating.
educating.
And that conversation was had because she went to
Well, she need to go on down to the White
she
House.
went to an HBCU.
But she don't like him either.
She went to an
Yeah.
HBCU like talk or something. And I may be getting my facts fucked up, but go watch the damn documentary. This is great. But she went to a talk. And she basically opened a conversation, and one of the girls was like, "Well, I'm actually kind of offended by you being here because it's you exercising your privilege. Like you're asking us
To talk about it.
this for our documentary. Like we've already talked about it. It's up to y'all to do the work.
To figure it
The white
fuck out.
people
And
they
I
had
feel
that
like
conversation.
that's
with
what I said.
themselves.
I feel like you have to carry the load of those conversations a lot of times because people do just they're like, okay, this is what all the black kids are.
Right.
Go ahead and come here.
Yeah. And so it's very interesting. But to kind of bring things full circle and to start wrapping things up, I guess my last question would be, what is your advice to a college senior?
High school senior.
High school senior. College seniors, they got it clearly. High school seniors that are currently having this internal debate about whether I should go to a BWI or HBCU, or if I should go to school, period. And think of a student like where you were, you know, in your
I
identity
think
and all that
that
stuff.
as far as whether to go to school or not, I think I always have said, I know a lot of people go to school because they think that's what they're supposed to do. But I'm a strong believer in if it's not something you want to do, then you're not going to succeed.
Yeah.
Regardless.
I don't
of,
believe that school is for everybody. I don't believe that you cannot be successful because you didn't go to school. However, the other end is that society is getting more
The
what's the
tension is
word?
increasing.
Not
or-
the tension, but it's getting more competitive.
Okay.
It's getting more competitive, whereas you can't do certain things that you could with that high school diploma that
Right.
you used to have back in the day. Now you need that bachelor's degree, or even to getting that master's degree. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
becoming more competitive
Yeah.
in that instance. So when it comes time to pick a school, I'm gonna definitely say pick what's for you. Choose the best thing for you. For me, a HBCU in undergrad was the best thing. I fully believe in, again, that cultural thing is very strong for me. Having a culture that you feel like you can succeed in, really benefits your success story.
Mhm.
You know, it being something for everybody, that sense of family that you get at the HBCU, in the HBCU experience for me, really helped bring my entire college experience full circle. Now, on the other end of that, you may not be privy to or have all of the technologies and all of the things that some of the PWIs have. Like, I think Kansas, don't y'all got like a computer store on campus or something? You know, these types of things. Like, you may not be privy. You may not be privy to all of those things. But what I will say is that because you may not have those technologies, or because you may not have Asian and Mediterranean cuisine on your campus and restaurants like over there at Florida State, does not necessarily mean that your education is going to lack. I feel like education can lack in both instances, because you may have people, and another thing me and our boyfriend talk about all the time is that you may have professors who know very well, they know their information and they know their field, but they have no idea how to teach it. I think you can get that experience at the PWI and at the HBCU. In the HBCU realm as well. So I think that it really comes down to some of those key factors that you want to play out. The type of cultural experience that you want to experience. What is it that you want from your college experience? Do you want to be on the realm where you say, hey, let me be okay with being uncomfortable in this situation, in this space? It is not to say that there are not uncomfortable situations in HBCUs, because there
it's
are.
Still college at
but
the end
this
of the day.
different. Do you want to figure out how to be comfortable in that uncomfortable space in your college experience? Do you want to have a feeling of family the whole way around, where it's not necessarily everybody competing with one another for the best spot that their dad is going to pay for? You know what I'm saying? So I think that it really just goes down to those things. The type of education that you want, what is the social environment that you want, because that's also another part. You may want to go to the PWI where you say you want to branch out and you want to see different cultures. You want to see what it's like. You want to be in that space, so that when you get in the field, you know how to navigate that space. That's one of the things in the HBCU realm that was a little different for me, being able to navigate another type of space.
Especially because you came
with
from all
with
black
other people, because my environment my entire life has been all black. I've dealt with white people, and I can deal with white people, even though sometimes they get on my nerves, just like the blacks. But you know what I mean? So it just really comes down to what you want. I say HBCU for undergrad, and then PWI later on, because you still get the same experience, and then you have 2 degrees. You know, you have 2 degrees.
Off rip, that'll show your
diversity.
That shows your diversity and the type of people that that you can deal with, and you get the service aspect in the HBCU. I'm sure they do service in PWI, but you're doing the service at the HBCUs in the community of people that look like you, because you want to better that community, not because you want to be a white savior for the community, not because you want to look like you're doing something for the minorities, for those people that have less than you. Like, let me just help them out a little bit because they don't have anything. You know what I mean? And it's the other thing. I know I'm going on a tangent. Sorry. The other thing about the HBCU is that they're giving you a second chance into that university. It's not just because a 2.5 may be that minimum GPA requirement does not mean that the school is less than.
It's
It
not writing your story.
Right. It means that they want to give everybody a chance, even though you may have made some mistakes in your life, doesn't mean that you cannot create a better path for yourself. Then on the other end of the PWI, oftentimes it doesn't mean that everybody black that goes to a PWI is not qualified, but there also is a certain quota that they have to meet of minority students that they have to allow in. Do you want to be in that school that they may have picked you because they needed to meet that quota, or do you want to be in that school that you felt that you were qualified
To be in.
To be in because they wanted you, even though your name was Jaquan.
And those are all factors.
You know what I mean?
Those
They
are all
didn't
factors.
they didn't see Jaquan to turn to the side and say, have we met the quota? Let's see, we got a couple Jasmines, a couple. Let me go on over to Jaquan and see what he got. You know what I mean? Like it's a matter of what you want and the experience that you want and the feeling that each one gives you. Attend them both, not attend them both, but visit them both. Visit them both. See what the culture is like at the university. Like I said, the moment I stepped foot on FAMU's campus, I knew immediately that's where I wanted to be. They drew me in. The culture drew me in. What is it that you want?
Love it. What was your parent?
I would say one thing that I didn't do that in retrospect I wish I would have did more of was talk to people at these different schools. Like you went to high school with people who are now in college, who are now at different colleges having these different experiences. Actually just sit down and just talk to them, just see like what their actual experience is, because obviously yours won't be the same wherever you go, but at least you have a better opportunity of understanding what you're getting yourself into versus if you're like somebody like me who didn't have the opportunity to visit a lot of these campuses, and you don't want to go in blind. Because for me, it was good just because of my personality. I could go into a situation blind and be like, all right, I'll figure this out. You know, it'll work out with how it works out. But I know a lot of people, like even my own little sister, she just went off to TSU, which is a HBCU, Tennessee State, this past fall. And from the jump, she's always been like, I want to go to HBCU. Like, I know that's what I want. That's who I am. And quite honestly, I told her that she needed to go to HBCU just because I know her personality type. And I know that she would have hated coming to my school, even though she's visited Miami and has always been like, oh, I would love to come here. Like, I would come to this school, but I don't know if she would have been as receptive to just some of the things that you just have to navigate when you go to a PWI.
I think that was a great thing you said about personality, because we have this other friend that I always tell her all the time, I feel like she would have thrived at an HBCU because of her personality and the avenues that she wanted to take.
People tell me that all the time. They was like, yo dancing ass.
Yo
partying ass.
But that's the thing. I feel like all of us. I feel like every single black friend
we would have did just as well.
Would have thrived
either way. Yeah. No, I don't doubt that. Well, she did thrive, obviously, but I mean, I think just the personality thing, like you said, there's some things is important. Like it's some things that you knew that your little sister just wasn't gonna be down for. Like, you know, some paths you have to navigate. Maybe it's yes ma'am and then no ma'am and the white people that she might not be down with. You know what I'm saying?
You can't blast the music at
it may be some things that you know you just not down for. And I think talking to those people to get other people's experiences can help you navigate, much like choosing a Greek organization.
Right.
It can help you navigate. Shout out to the baddest, Beta Alpha. But you know, just like choosing those organizations and really helping to navigate, like, okay, maybe this is for me, maybe it's not for me. And a lot of those things, actually a lot of the things about colleges are culturally driven. Whether you realize it or not, it may be a subconscious thing. It's culturally driven.
I mean, college is a culture, you know, in itself. Like it's a cultural institution because, and this kind of ties into what I want to say, because I think the best thing for me is knowing how you want that transition to life. What you want that transition to life.
Yes, that's a great way to think about college.
And so it's like college aids you in growing into this person, right?
That you're going to be.
Moving forward. And if you don't go to college, you don't have that same transition. We have we have some friends that may or may not still be friends with us, but that did not go to college or did not have that traditional college experience. And it was just a whole different time. Like you grow with people, right?
I know what you're talking about.
And all of us, we all went to pursue college educations, and I feel like that's why we're still so close, because we understood that there was an evolution, there was a transition that
we were equally yoked. We had like minds, and we drove each other to succeed.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. I also, it's the people who I know, like who didn't go to college and like had no interest in going to college. I'm like, I could have said that, like, figured that out when we was in high school. Like, they might not be into that. Like, you know, it's just kind of like who you are just as an individual. You really have to
and the life you had at home.
You gotta do some deep digging. And I know, like, a lot of us, especially in high school, I was not an introspective person. I was not sitting down thinking what did I think of, like, how do I feel today? Like,
I was thinking about my boyfriend.
Thinking about all the most trivial things, like nothing about my personal self. But you really, when you're picking a school, that is a I don't want to say spiritual journey, but sometimes it could be a spiritual journey. It's you really looking deep within yourself and trying to assess, like, how can I pinpoint my personal values, and does this align with the institution or the people that are attending this institution?
Yeah.
And it's hard, it's not easy, because my brother's gearing up to go to college next year. And my grandfather has been like, you need to do what Keith did, because da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, Grandpa, don't do that.
He's not gonna never
Because he's not me.
Right.
And I don't need my little brother subconsciously resenting me because of something that you're saying to him. Let him enjoy this process. Like I said, Georgia Southern was my last choice.
And sometimes you end up in your last choice.
And it was the last college that I applied to. And it was because I applied for 10 schools and I got into like 7 of them. And then turned out that the issue became money. Like, how the fuck was I going to pay for shit?
And a lot of times that's what, please apply to scholarships.
Please, please.
But
not in May of the year that you're graduating.
At HBCUs, you going to have to stay on top of that. You need to get somebody's phone number and always get somebody's name.
I mean,
you're going to have to break out of your shell regardless. If you go to HBCU, you got to break out of your shell because you got to talk to them financial aid people and figure it out.
I mean,
you go to PWI, you got to break out of your shell because you got to find your people. You know, you're going to have to, you
gotta walk that big ass campus.
If you feel like you're super meek and mild, but that's fine, but you're going to have to be uncomfortable regardless of
I've seen so many people come out of their shells in HBCU.
Yeah, HBCU.
Especially being an RA, watching several classes of incoming freshmen come in as these.
They just look completely different a year
You know,
later.
a month later, you know, coming in as these shy individuals, timid individuals coming in and watching them.
That's beautiful.
Branch out into the Miss FAMUs. Cara was a resident in Keon was like she was a resident in my facility. I watched her run for she ran for sophomore attendant. Like all of these things, watching these kids come in, because immediately the moment you step foot on a FAMU's campus, he is immediately like, what do I want to do? I mean, involvement fair is like a week into school. You know what I'm saying? What do I want to do? Right. It's literally something for everybody. You said you want to bowl? You want to be on the bowling team? I didn't find out we had a bowling team until like my junior year. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all
but like
be bowling.
Yeah,
we had a bowling team at Southwest too.
These little things that. But if you really look into it and research, where is bowling at? We had a swim team.
I'm thinking Georgia Southern.
We had a bowling team.
They used to practice.
I don't know if they were swimming, but we had a swim team.
We got a swim team. We don't got no pool.
We did have a swim team. I remember seeing the sign.
We had a swim team. We had a golf team.
Yeah,
I knew we had a golf team. But I don't know if it was golfing.
Just little things like that. Do your research about the university, because you might think nobody at all had no bowling team.
Nobody is interested in the anime club. Right. I promise you, it's an anime club.
We got an anime club. Nobody has a badminton club. Like, it's something for everybody at these schools, and I'm not gonna say it's.
And you can make it. You can make it.
And you can make organizations. I'm not gonna say it's not like the PWIs, because I don't. No.
Oh, they do a lot of clubs.
I was on the organization that approved new student organizations, and let me tell you, y'all, we had a club that came in there was like, we just like cars.
We want to be the car club.
We just want to look at cars.
Did y'all hear what Peri just said? She was a part of an organization
that approved
organizations. So, bitch, you could be a part of an organization that approves organizations. It's just so important to do that, a little bit of soul searching, and enough that it's bearing for a high school senior, because
don't
hurt yourself.
Because for me, because with me not walking across the stage with y'all and like having to take that class over the summer, I was already, through my whole adolescence, I was forced into situations where I just had to grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
And with my last semester of my senior year turning out the way that it was, and me still like not only trying to get the fuck out of high school, but me trying to figure out the next steps in my life, I had to think about, all right, what are my next 4 years about to look like? I have to be very strategic. So I had to educate myself. Yeah. I had to look at even when I didn't know that I was going to fail the class, I was still just based on like what I was going through at home, I was like, all right, so I know I want to do music, but I do not need to take my black ass down to FAMU, and I don't have anything for me there in terms of what I want to do.
Right.
And honestly, a lot of the HBCUs that I looked at for music, they didn't really have anything that I wanted to do. I knew if I did music education that I was gonna hate it. I would have fucked up some kids' lives.
But then I'm glad that you knew that, because a lot of people don't know like that.
But a lot of people get to college and figure out what it is they want to do. Like you said, you changed your major.
That's
I changed
true.
mine. A lot
Oh
of
yeah,
people
I
don't
changed
know.
the shit out of mine. I was nutrition.
I changed my, y'all, first week, the Friday of the first week of class. I stood outside of engineering school in tears, bawling, my eyes out on the phone with my mom, like, I can't do this. Everybody in here is smarter than me.
No, that's crazy.
Especially coming from high school where you're considered to be. That's another thing. Coming from where we come from, you may be the top of your class, but when you get from there to a PWI, you like.
All them kids had taken AP computer science, y'all. We
You
didn't have regular
sure.
computer science.
Much like the athletes, you come out of high school the top dog, but when you get to
And
the school, you back at the
that's the
bottom.
other thing too, because I had to look at the quality of education that I was about to get. All of the HBCUs that I was looking at, they didn't offer the same musical education at Kennesaw. Kennesaw was
Don't have the equipment for one.
That's true. But even when it came to instructors, because my instrument, FAMU didn't even have like a professor for my instrument. So what was I going to do at FAMU? Like I probably would have did well. I would have got involved like I was at Kennesaw. You know, probably
You would've figured it out.
I would have figured it out. But when it came to my education.
It was almost a death experience.
We're back.
We're back.
And we're back. I think
back.
we were just saying that HBCUs are the ish. I think that's what we're
Okay. But like I was
Okay.
saying, I had to think about what the university offered in terms of my education when it came to music, and I probably wouldn't have gotten
that experience.
that experience in PWI or HBCU. I wouldn't have gotten the experience anywhere else than Kennesaw State. So.
It's very school specific.
Right, so
Yeah.
I think just black communities in general just need to do a better job of educating. And I guess that's my takeaway, just being educated in your decision.
Yes, and look at all factors and don't just count something off
Right.
because you heard somebody say, oh, the HBCU got community bathrooms. My PWI also had community bathrooms.
And we got our own bathrooms too.
But like those are like the myths and things that you hear about different institutions. Like go off of facts, go off of actual people's experiences. Don't just go off of hearsay.
Which could vary depending on the year that you went to the school. Your experience will vary.
Yeah.
That's another
definitely.
thing. But
Most
I think
definitely.
that, like Sean was saying, educating yourself.
Yep.
Not just listening to what other people are saying, because for a lot of
Don't
people,
listen to your parents either.
Right.
You gotta,
Yes. Your parents also have their own like
Experience.
idea of what
of-
college was, because it was different.
but they have their own like perception of what you should do too.
And who
Also,
you are, right?
yeah. And don't listen to them counselors, because let me tell you something. I barely talk to my counselor, but you really do have counselors out here that
Who
don't
try
know
to sway
nothing.
you, yeah.
They'll sway you to go their way, or they'll tell you one
You-
thing
you're
or
not
the other
capable
thing.
of-
Like
Or you're not right.
you got to make your own. But for a lot of, and what I realized is that a lot of high schools, really at ours, I think our parents was our biggest advocates. At a lot of schools, the counselors are not doing what they need to be doing, so these kids are not educated about what college is.
Yeah.
Especially first generation college
'Cause
kids who
Miss
have no
Calloway-
idea. I had the bald man with a peanut head.
Cause Miss Calloway,
I don't
she
remember who that
actually,
was.
she fucked up my stuff where I wasn't receiving hope. Like when it came to like my final financial aid numbers, I was like, I had a 3.0. What's going on? They didn't even send my stuff over
And my mom had to jump down one of the counselor's throats because I missed out on a huge scholarship because he didn't send a recommendation off in time. And I had told him.
Who that was, Mr. Little?
No, Mr. Dimmons.
Oh, that was mine, Mr. Dimmons.
But shout out to Mr. Dimmons because after my mom jumped down his throat, he got it taken.
I mean, and
Mr. Dimmons was mine, the bald man with a peanut head.
Yeah. I don't remember my counselor.
Might have been Mr. Little.
Yeah,
It was only 3
No, Mr. Little.
Little was
we ain't gonna talk
ninth
about
grade,
Mr. Little.
Mr. Little was ninth grade, wasn't he?
I missed out
Oh,
on scholarships because the band director didn't write my recommendation letters in time.
He didn't do class of
I missed
14
out on
right
And
now.
she had the audacity to go up on Jamboree and talk about something, and we got engagement in scholar. Y'all don't got jack.
That's one thing that people love doing is taking the credit for something they knew damn well they
You
ain't
ain't write
no
no recommendation.
That man did
No
not
parts
do
in.
14 right at all. We
We
saw
didn't
the
know
other
that come out of
classes
alumni
get
shirt,
worship.
but I got it though.
Yeah.
The other senior classes got worship, and we got the deepest part of his ass.
More of the story is do your research when it
Yeah.
comes to figuring out what type of school you want to go to, whether it be HBCU or PWI.
And visiting the school.
Visiting
That's a
schools.
big thing.
But if you can't, cause I really wanted to visit schools and I just couldn't. Like I just
Do your
didn't have-
research.
Yeah.
YouTube. We got
Talk
so
to
much
people,
technology.
and now so many people have YouTube vlogs. Like they go to these schools. Like no, it's a thing. Like people, it's the girl at my school got a vlog. Like if people was doing that, I would have
They got
watched
them
it.
at FAMU, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now social media where you can see what's going on at these schools. See if you're a big programmer, you're a big service person, see the kind of service that these organizations are putting on. See the kind of services that the schools are putting on. It's all kinds of things. Like you got past queens and past like Be Out Day. Be Out Day scholarship is something that Florida A&M alumni put on specifically for Atlanta kids. So things like that where people are giving back into their community that you may not even know about.
Yeah,
without
research
that
even in
social
your
media
area. They have
aspect.
the alumni chapter. You
Yeah.
you can email them. That's another thing. Like we're trying to give y'all tips of things that people might not normally tell y'all. Like there are alumni chapters in your area. Reach out to them. Just send them an email. Be like, hey, I'm a prospective student, and I would love to just hear about some things that y'all might be doing.
And
in this
establish
area.
connections. Like I said, I decided to connect with the vice president of student affairs. He
Same.
had the most pull in what I needed to have.
Okay, pull.
So create
But
those
scout them people out and
relationships,
really
network.
Yeah.
Network.
Don't just go to school
Network.
and just go to school, y'all. Because no matter where you go, if you go to school and you just go to school, because I know people at HBCUs who just went to school, they went to school, and PWIs is the same thing. You're not gonna have a whole
College
holistic
experience.
Yeah.
So you really need to not just ask questions about the academics. You need to ask questions about your social life.
Because that was important.
And don't wholeheartedly make your decision off other people's experiences, because it will be the same.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Take it with a grain of salt. It's just like food preferences. You know what I'm saying? When you're looking at a new restaurant and you go on a review, some good, some bad, some okay. You're gonna really have to go to figure it out. That's where those tours and those things.
And they got virtual tours, y'all.
Yeah. And then if you know somebody, one of the other things, my siblings went to FAMU, so I was able to go not only during that orientation aspect, where of course everything is all nice and neat and everything and everybody is doing what everybody does. But I was able to go during my spring break in high school down with my sister to see what's really going on this campus in an everyday full life experience. Excuse me, try to do those as well. Like go to school, y'all. It's for you.
If it's for you, please do just not waste your money. If you know deep down in your heart that you don't want to go to school, because there's people that still paying off their student loans who just was not feeling it.
Yeah.
And shouldn't have been there in the first place. So,
Amen.
HBCU pride.
Go Canes. I can only speak for myself.
Because I'm pissed with Southern right now. Do what you gotta do.
Graduation. Like I said, figure out the experience that you want and go for it.
Kennesaw just need to give me my damn degree.
You need to pay these
$9.
people their money.
$9.
Pay these people their money, or you still have to get that diploma.
You gonna hold me for $9?
That $9 got interest now.
$9. After all the money I done paid y'all motherfuckers.
$9?
these people or you will not get your degree.
That's for any school.
I'm prideful.
I had to make sure that all my shit was
That's for
covered.
any school. If you don't pay your money, you're not gonna get.
But
that
real
percent.
talk, be prideful about any school you go to,
Yeah,
whether
and your
it's
experience.
PWI or HBCU. Hold honestly and wholeheartedly to the experience that you had, and no one can ever take that experience from you. Though I am pro HBCU, but
We all are pro HBCU.
hold that experience close to your heart and take pride.
And go
If
get
it's
you some money.
If it's a school,
after.
right? If it's a school that you know
Please.
you don't want to take pride into, it's probably a school you shouldn't be at.
Ooh,
Yeah, ooh.
You won't take pride in it.
that's T. But if you, stuff happens. So you just gotta go to a school, figure it out, make the best of it.
And it's
Dope.
that on them.
Well, I'm so glad we had this conversation. Thank you too for joining. Well, thank all the people who came
Yeah.
and joined us today.
He had to go.
Yes, he had to leave, but I really appreciate y'all taking the time out of your busy schedules to accommodate.
Love you. You're welcome. Last minute
Love y'all
plug.
too.
Love y'all.
Mwah, mwah.
Damn you.
Girl.
Well, as always, feel free to follow us on our social, on Instagram at BGO_pod. Do all the things, follow, stream, share with your friends. Be a quality nigga in these streets. Don't be raggedy.
Stay respectful,
Stay respectful.
motherfuckers.
Drink
Because
your
I almost
water.
got with that nigga who was.
You need to keep your libations to a minute.
Come on,
Should be his. Cause if I was out there, I would have.
Where was the dude who called he hit? Cause see, that's one of the things that the black church be messing up. We be getting real loud and real book about
Well,
stuff.
he wasn't over there.
Or
That's
we
why
get
I
real
was.
loud and book about our stuff or their own stuff.
He wasn't
That's
over there
real.
because
That's
it was
it.
one of It was
Yeah,
somebody.
being loud about other people's stuff.
If I like you.
It was somebody.
I'm
but
listening to how
literally,
hold the hell
he
up.
wasn't over there.
The pot or the kettle?
Both, because I don't like. I'm gonna get loud about people. One of the things that I don't like is
People who can't speak for you.
people who mess with people because they know that they not gonna say nothing to you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If I like you, I got you.
And I'm a person who just don't like motherfuckers doing wrong.
Me.
So
I don't either, but if you gonna speak up for yourself, I don't gotta go to jail for you.
But yeah, he just cause he was about to pull off and like the person wasn't over there to like see it and nobody was saying anything. So that's why I started going off the way I was going. But my frat brother, they came.
And you was drunk.
Yeah.
That had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
When I get drunk, I know I'll be on that 20. Y'all saw that 21 Savage video? He like, niggas don't want to fight no more. I'll be the nigga ass.
When the angry drunk, I am not at all an angry drunk.
If you push me a little too hard, like,
I mean, that's why I don't be around. Like, I can't be around drunk people that's not drunk. I mean, and I'm not drunk.
yeah.
Like, I don't.
well, no.
I don't
Ew.
partake. Like, I can't partake.
Yeah,
If I'm
sometimes
drunk
I feel
and
like
you
I
looking a
don't-
little.
Cause
like
I'm
you
not. I
trying
ain't no angry drunk. I like to have a good time when I'm drunk.
I'm saying, but don't come up in my space, making my space more than what it needs to be.
Right.
I am very in tune with my emotions when I'm drunk.
See.
So I will cry, I will yell.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I ain't know you
Cuss.
crying drunk.
I can't.
I usually cry by myself though. That's on like the ride.
That's on the ride.
My sensual
Damn.
is comes out when I'm drunk.
I
ain't-
yeah.
I ain't mad.
I be
I when I'm drunk, I'm like, who
No,
was
it-
it?
I like to giggle.
it amplifies how I'm feeling at the time. So
Same.
so like cause I already have like a lot of energy naturally, so I be hopping off walls when I'm.
Yeah.
I mean, I got energy when I'm drunk, but I don't be mad and I don't be crying and all that.
I don't be mad. I'm just like, if you trying to fight, we could do that. Like,
Being drunk is the worst time to fight.
The coordination.
that ain't no issue. Like, if you trying to do that, we can
It's
do
the
that.
worst time to fight, cause you ain't gonna feel that shit then, but you gonna feel all that shit in
That's
the
the
morning.
perfect time to fight, then.
No, cause you won't lose.
You know, gotta be
You
drunk.
drunk and they ain't drunk, you gon' lose.
Did y'all see that? It was a pose of some guy, and he just had all this energy, and this man clocked him like in his temple. He just fell straight to the ground, like his knees hit the pavement
That
and
was
everything.
because that wasn't adrenaline.
That man was drunk as all hell.
That wasn't
I don't even
adrenaline.
think the blow was that hard, but he probably felt that shit in his
all
soul.
talking. I'm like all barking, nobody. Cause I had to say a bunch of shit when I was drunk. I ain't really about to fight.
No, I was.
You better stop.
Nigga, as long as you had to approach niggas and get
I
glad.
would have beat his ass.
Well, we need to go out for drinks one of these days because we ain't been out for drinks.
We do. And like drinks. Not no like cute shit. We need to be
Margarita.
college days.
I love a good picture of Rita's.
I love me a margarita.
But I love a good margarita too, but
We need to go to there's a margarita bar. Let's we need to wrap up.
All right, y'all. So
we
we
did
gonna
already.
finish this conversation offline. We love y'all. See y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
I bought